special visual efferent, and followed by that we have GVE. Now let's stop here only. Let's first talk about these three columns and then we'll add the rest of the columns, so make sure you leave some space on the side. And obviously all these cranial nuclei are present in the brainstem, so they are present either in the midbrain, in the pons, or in medulla oblongata. Let's say these are three parts of brainstem. Midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata. To remind you again, GSE, the somatic, that means this first column is purely for extraocular and tongue muscle. And we all know that all the extraocular muscles are supplied by third nerve, fourth nerve and the sixth nerve. And tongue muscles are supplied by the hypoglossal nerve, the 12th nerve. That means the nuclei which you will see in the first column are 3, 4, 6 and 12. That's all. 3, 4, 6 and 12. Yes, what you have to remember is which nuclei is exactly where. Like third nucleus and fourth nucleus, they will be present in the midbrain. Sixth nucleus is in the pons, and this very long 12th or hypoglossal nucleus will be present in the medulla oblongata. The location is important, guys. This is the third nucleus. There is fourth, that is trochlear. The sixth abducent here, and the 12th hypoglossal nuclei. So that's all about first column. You already know that why we have these nuclei in the column, because it is giving the column corresponds to the somatic muscle, which is extraocular and tongue muscle. So 3, 4, 6 and 12. The second column, special visceral efferent. The word special viscera was the branchial arches, the pharyngeal arches. Now, if you remember what was the nerve for the first pharyngeal arch? First pharyngeal arch was supplied by the mandibular nerve. So we have a mandibular nucleus, or I should say motor nucleus of mandibular nerve present in the pons. What is the nerve for second pharyngeal arch? Second pharyngeal arch was supplied by facial nerve. Just below that we have a facial nerve nucleus that is also in the pons. And then what was the nerve for the third arch, fourth arch and sixth arch? Third, fourth and sixth arch, they are all supplied by the glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve. So again we have a huge nucleus in the medulla oblongata, which is a common nucleus for the 9th nerve, for the 10th nerve, and maybe to your surprise, 11th also. 9th, 10th and 11th. I'll tell you what 11th is that. Collectively guys, this nucleus here is called as the nucleus ambiguus. This nucleus is called as the nucleus ambiguus. There's different spellings for ambiguous, some people like W. Nucleus ambiguus. So mandibular nucleus, facial nucleus, glossopharyngeal, vagus, which makes sense till here because all these in that sequence are the nerves of pharyngeal arches. Now the only question is where this 11th is coming from. 11. First question is which 11th is this? Is it the spinal accessory or is it the cranial accessory? So guys, answer here is it is cranial accessory. See, we are discussing cranial nerve nuclei, so it is a cranial accessory actually. And the reason cranial accessory nerve is included in this column, which is purely for pharyngeal arch, because even cranial accessory nerve supplies muscles of pharyngeal arches, but not directly. Now what happens is there is a foramen called as jugular foramen. We will be discussing this in a while. Jugular foramen. So you have a vagus nerve coming out of jugular foramen, and we have a cranial accessory nerve also coming out of jugular foramen. Now the cranial accessory nerve, as soon as it comes out of jugular foramen, it joins with the vagus. So the further course of cranial accessory nerve is via vagus only. So it looks like that muscles of palate and pharynx are supplied by vagus nerve or by pharyngeal plexus, but originally their supply is coming from where? From the cranial accessory nerve. And that's why we have to give them due respect in this column. That is the reason the cranial accessory is included here. I want you guys to write it separately that if the question is about the muscles of palate and pharynx. Muscles of palate and pharynx. And I'm saying palate and pharynx, not larynx. Let's keep the larynx out of it. Muscles of palate and pharynx, they are supplied by which nerve? They are supplied by the cranial accessory nerve. They are supplied by cranial accessory nerve, but you have to say via vagus. Cranial accessory via vagus. We'll understand how exactly it is done. There is something called as a hitchhiking. Head and neck is known for the hitchhiking. When one nerve will join with other nerve and will reach its destination. That is called as hitchhiking. So cranial accessory nerve is joining the vagus nerve and then reaching its destination muscle. You can call it cranial accessory via vagus, or you can even call it VAC. Guys, VAC stands for vago accessory complex. It's a complex of vagus nerve and accessory nerve, so we can call it vago accessory complex. VAC, vago accessory complex. Right? That's why we have the cranial accessory nerve in that column in the nucleus ambiguous. Actually, if I put a question for you here, let us say there is an injury to nucleus ambiguous. So what will happen? If there is injury to nucleus ambiguous, and nucleus ambiguous is gone, means which nerves are compromised? Our 9th nerve is gone, our 10th nerve, and even 11th, cranial accessory is gone. That means the muscles of palate, pharynx, and even larynx, because vagus is also there. Muscles of palate, pharynx, and larynx are compromised on the same side, to which side the injury we are talking about. And that will lead to the paralysis of all the muscles of palate, pharynx, and larynx because of nucleus ambiguous involvement, and we call it bulbar paralysis. This is called as a bulbar paralysis. So, if there is an injury to nucleus ambiguous, you can add that point also. Injury to NA, that is nucleus ambiguous. Injury to nucleus ambiguous will lead to ipsilateral bulbar paralysis. Palate, pharynx, larynx muscle of one side are involved, so we call it bulbar paralysis. Although it's not a complete bulbar paralysis, because for the bulbar paralysis to take place, even tongue muscle should be involved. But tongue nuclei is, let's say, it is safe. Hypoglossal nucleus is still safe. We are just talking about the injury to nucleus ambiguous, so we call it bulbar paralysis. But yeah, tongue muscles are spared in it. And what else? What other important feature you will see here? 9th and 10th nerve being a major contributor to this nuclei, and we all know that 9th and 10th nerve are responsible for a reflex. That is a gag reflex. So there also will be a loss of gag reflex. So injury to nucleus ambiguous will lead to ipsilateral bulbar paralysis, and there will be a loss of gag reflexes. Coming back to the table here, so we're done with the first two columns, that is, and we've already said that the common thing between the first two columns is they are specifically for skeletal muscle. There comes the third column, the GVE, the column which is dedicated to the smooth muscles and glands. Now let me tell you what nuclei are there. The first nucleus that you see here, which is at the level of third nucleus only, look at that, it is present at the level of third nucleus in the midbrain, and this nucleus is the Edinger-Westphal. I'm writing EW, there is an Edinger-Westphal nucleus. In the pons, we have two nuclei there. One is called as superior salivatory nucleus, and then we have inferior salivatory nucleus. The superior salivatory and the inferior salivatory. And once again, we have a big nucleus present in the medulla oblongata, which is referred as the dorsal nucleus of vagus. We call it the dorsal nucleus of vagus. Edinger-Westphal, superior salivatory, inferior salivatory nucleus, dorsal nucleus of vagus. Edinger-Westphal is present in the midbrain exactly at the level of third nucleus. It is exactly at the level of third nucleus. Pons is having a superior and the inferior salivatory, and medulla oblongata, again a big nucleus in the medulla oblongata called as the dorsal nucleus of vagus. Well, the reason we call it dorsal nucleus of vagus because it is shifted dorsally in the brainstem. When you open the brainstem and you look at a section of a brainstem, you will find this nuclei in very much posterior part of the medulla oblongata. So we call it dorsal nucleus of vagus. Now this is a very, very important column, and we have to discuss it in more detail separately. So we'll complete this table in a while. Let's Take this GVE column and talk in more detail about it, and let's fetch answer to a few more questions. Guys, GVE, Edinger-Westphal. Now, we know that what is the function of Edinger-Westphal? Edinger-Westphal is the nucleus which is going to supply the sphincter pupillae and ciliaris margin, right? So the nerve which will come out of the Edinger-Westphal, this nerve ultimately will go and supply the sphincter pupillae. It will supply the sphincter pupillae and ciliaris muscle. Dilator pupillae is supplied by sympathetic nerve. We're just talking about the cranial nerve. Cranial nerve are obviously parasympathetic. So Edinger-Westphal nucleus, the nerve comes out from there and that supplies sphincter pupillae and ciliaris. Now the question is which nerve? What nerve is going to supply the sphincter pupillae and ciliaris? Edinger-Westphal fibers, they join with the third nerve only. Oculomotor nerve. So fibers from the Edinger-Westphal, they go along with the third nerve and then they reach their destination muscle, which we will look into when we'll talk about the third nerve separately. The next in the line was superior salivatory nucleus. And let me write the other one also, that was an inferior salivatory nucleus. Superior salivatory, inferior salivatory. Their name and their function is kind of opposite here. The one which is called as the superior salivatory nucleus is supplying the salivary gland which are below, and the one which is called as inferior salivatory nucleus is supplying the salivary gland which is above. So it's like kind of reverse here. So when you think of parotid gland is by the inferior salivatory nucleus, whereas submandibular and sublingual gland is by superior salivatory nucleus. Now let me write the name of these glands first. Like superior salivatory nucleus, we said it is for the submandibular, sublingual, and inferior salivatory, I'm writing it for the parotid gland. That's for the parotid gland. But does it mean that these salivatory nucleus are only taking care of the salivary gland? When it comes to cranial nerve nuclei or the name of the column, you should never trust the name of the nuclei, because sometimes the name of the nuclei is corresponding to a particular thing, but that is not the only function done by the nuclei. Like the name here is the superior salivatory nucleus, which makes sense, okay, it is supplying the salivary gland, submandibular, sublingual, but that is not the only function. It is also supplying another major gland here, and that is the lacrimal gland. Lacrimal gland. Lacrimetry fiber, they originate from the superior salivatory nucleus, or we can say that lacrimetry nucleus is a part of the superior salivatory nucleus. In simple words, in simpler term, parotid gland is the only gland supplied by inferior salivatory nucleus, and you think of any other gland here, they are all taken care of by superior salivatory. Submandibular, sublingual, lacrimal, nasal, pharyngeal, all these glands are taken care of by the superior salivatory itself. So except parotid, everything else comes into superior salivatory. And finally, we wrote the dorsal nucleus of vagus. And there was this dorsal nucleus of vagus. I'm writing in short, dorsal nucleus of vagus, which is taking care of the smooth muscles and glands, in thorax and abdomen mainly. See, vagus is the only nerve going beyond head and neck. It is the only cranial nerve which is going beyond head and neck. So obviously, if you have to supply the smooth muscle of esophagus or stomach or duodenum, then obviously vagus nerve will take care of it. So it's take care of the smooth muscle there, take care of all the gastric glands and everything. That is by the vagus nerve. And the nucleus is dorsal nucleus of vagus. Well, no confusion here. When you say dorsal nucleus of vagus, so obviously the nerve here is vagus nerve only. Vagus nerve is carrying the fiber. But for the superior and the inferior salivatory, you have to remember, superior salivatory nucleus supplying all these glands is via which nerve? It goes via facial nerve. So the question is asked that what is the nerve for the superior salivatory nucleus? It's the facial nerve. Whereas inferior salivatory nucleus supplying parotid gland is via glossopharyngeal nerve or ninth nerve. It is via glossopharyngeal nerve or ninth nerve. Now wait, look at this pattern here. 4 cranial nerve nuclei we just saw in the GVE column. 4 nerves you are looking at here and supplying different smooth muscles and glands, which tells me that this third nerve, 7th nerve, 9th nerve and 10th nerve, these are the 4 cranial nerve out of 12 cranial nerve, 4 of them are supplying smooth muscles and glands. Rest 8 nerves which are left, they are not taking care of any smooth muscle or gland, so it is only the function of these 4 nerves, and that's why these 4 cranial nerves are also called as the parasympathetic cranial nerve. All these 4 cranial nerves are referred as parasympathetic cranial nerve. They are the parasympathetic cranial nerve. 3, 7, 9, 10. So in the head and neck part, when you talk about the parasympathetic contribution, it comes from 3rd nerve, 7th nerve, 9th and 10th nerve. Now we got some questions which were asked in the previous exam with the same only, just modifying the same information. Like the question has been asked that which nerves come under parasympathetic column, so 3, 7, 9, 10, simple straight answer. They've even asked this question once that which column is referred as parasympathetic column. So obviously what column are we talking about? We're talking about the GVE column. So guys, you can note that GVE column is also referred as the parasympathetic column. It is also referred as the parasympathetic column because all the nuclei present here, they do have some parasympathetic function. After a couple of years, they modified this question a bit. Instead of asking that which nerves are parasympathetic, the question was that parasympathetic outflow is constituted by what nerves? Parasympathetic outflow is constituted by what nerve? So let's have a little discussion on this. So when I say the word sympathetic and parasympathetic, let's say the parasympathetic first. Parasympathetic outflow. I hope you all know that the word parasympathetic outflow goes for the craniosacral outflow. When you say craniosacral outflow, that means parasympathetic outflow. So parasympathetic outflow is also called as the craniosacral outflow. And guys, in the craniosacral outflow, I can already see the 2 things there. The one is cranio and one is sacral. Now cranio is obviously corresponding to cranial nerve. And what cranial nerves? We just said 3, 7, 9, 10. And sacral, which sacral nerve? S2, S3 and S4. S2, S3 and S4. So if the question is asked that parasympathetic outflow is constituted by what nerves, your answer is 3, 7, 9, 10, S2, S3, S4. That is craniosacral outflow. Some cranial nerves, like 4 cranial nerves and 3 sacral nerves together, they form the parasympathetic outflow system. And because they've already asked a question on the parasympathetic outflow, so no wonder they can ask it on the sympathetic outflow also. Now sympathetic outflow is called as what? It is called as the thoracolumbar. Although we'll discuss in the neural anatomy, but because I'm talking about the parasympathetic, so why not talk about the sympathetic as well? Sympathetic outflow is called as the thoracolumbar outflow. Thoracolumbar outflow. Again, look at the word guys, thoraco and lumbar. That means some thoracic nerve and some lumbar nerves are forming thoracolumbar outflow. Well, all thoracic nerve and the first 2 lumbar nerve. So when it comes to thoracolumbar outflow, it is starting from T1 till L2. T1 to L2 nerve coming out of the spinal cord, they constitute the sympathetic outflow or thoracolumbar outflow. GVE column, very important column. They might ask you the name of the nuclei, the location of the nuclei, what nerve are related to this, which gland are supplying it, and about their parasympathetic function. Again, let's fall back to our table. So guys, we are done with the efferent column now. The first three columns done. Skeletal muscle from skeletal muscle from somites are done, skeletal muscle from pharyngeal arch are done, and smooth muscles and glands are also over. Now coming to afferent column. Now if I name the afferent column in that sequence, the next column should be GVA and the next one should be SVA. But here's the catch, guys. You have to keep GVA and SVA together. So when you're writing the afferent column, just write GVA and SVA together. Write GVA and SVA together. I'll tell you why. GVA and SVA together. Followed by what is the next column? The next column was GSA, and the last and the very special column that was SSA, special somatic afferent. So the thing which might be bothering you is that why are we writing GVA and SVA together, guys? First, look at what exact information it is imparting. When I say GVA and SVA together, that means there has to be some common nucleus which is acting as GVA as well as SVA. That means there must be a nucleus which is carrying the general sensation from the viscera as well as a taste sensation from viscera. And the speciality of that nucleus is present in the medulla oblongata. It's a big nucleus present in the medulla oblongata, which is functioning as GVA as well as SVA. And the unique property is that this is the only nucleus present in this entire column. Nothing above, nothing below. There is no piece of gray matter that you see above this. There is no piece of gray matter you see below it. So it is alone. And we know alone is called as what? Solitary. And that's why this nucleus is called as nucleus of Tractus solitarius. This is called as a nucleus of Tractus solitarius. This is called as a nucleus of Tractus solitarius. Solitary nucleus, the only nucleus in the column. That's why such name is given to it. But yes, because it is having two functions, GVA and SVA, point to be noted here is that the cranial part of this nucleus is SVA. Taste will go to the cranial part, and the general sensation will go to the caudal part. The general sensation will go to the larger caudal part, and the taste sensation will go to the cranial part. If I take an example here, like glossopharyngeal nerve is supplying the posterior one-third of tongue, and glossopharyngeal nerve is taking the general sensation as well as taste sensation from there. So glossopharyngeal nerve from posterior one-third of tongue will take general as well as taste sensation. So whether it is taste fiber of glossopharyngeal nerve or general sensation fiber of glossopharyngeal nerve, they both will come into the same nucleus. The only difference will be the taste fiber will terminate into the cranial part, and the general sensation fiber will terminate into the caudal part of the same nucleus present in that column. So it's a collective single nucleus which is there in the two collective column here. And that's why it is so important, because imagine if there is injury to nucleus of Tractus solitarius, then we are going to lose all the visceral sensation at once. Everything. Because there's one nucleus and that is the only nucleus we have for the two important columns. Moving on to next, there is GSA, general somatic afferent. General somatic afferent. Now, general somatic afferent is having a huge nuclei, and I'm saying using the word nuclei because it's a combination of nucleus. A part of the nuclei is present in the midbrain. A major chunk is present here, the thicker part is present in the pons, and we have very, very long part which is extending into the medulla oblongata and even going beyond medulla oblongata. So we have this big nuclei present here, and you can basically divide this nucleus in three parts. In the midbrain, then there's thicker and more rounded part that you will see that is in the pons, and then we have this part which is starting in the pons only. If you're drawing it, just make sure it starts in the pons, it goes into the medulla, and it extends into the spinal cord also. Collectively, this nucleus is called as a trigeminal nucleus. This is called as a trigeminal nucleus. We have to discuss more detail of this trigeminal nucleus. Let's do it in a minute. Let's just draw it and leave it for now. Let me come to the last column and then we'll come back to the GSA here. What is the last column, guys? SSA, special somatic afferent. We already said the nuclei which will come under SSA are which one? We have a vestibular and the cochlear nuclei. So we got a vestibular and the cochlear nuclei. So vestibular nuclei and the cochlear nuclei. I'm just writing V and C here. The V is representing vestibular and C is representing cochlear. Where they're located? Somewhere at pontomedullary junction. Just remember this. The location of the vestibular cochlear nuclei is at pontomedullary junction. All these information will be very much needed in the neuronet, in the brainstem part. When we talk about the auditory pathway, so we need to find out that where the cochlear nuclei is present. And they are nuclei, guys. We don't have one vestibular nuclei, one cochlear nuclei. We have multiple vestibular and cochlear nuclei, and all of them are situated somewhere close to the pontomedullary junction. And finally, again, falling back to the GSA column. So let's take this column separately and then talk about all possible questions from there. So I want you also to write about it separately, guys. The GSA, general somatic afferent, and as we already saw the three parts of it. Now, guys, this portion, the cranial part of the trigeminal nuclei, well, obviously collectively this is called as a trigeminal nuclei, having three different parts, and we have to name these parts separately for the different function. The cranial part of this nucleus, the one which I highlighted with yellow here, this is present in what part of brainstem? It is present in the midbrain. And we all know that midbrain, the technical term for the midbrain is mesencephalon. So that's why it is also called as the mesencephalic nucleus. This is called as the mesencephalic nucleus. Either you call it mesencephalic or mesencephalic, the same thing, mesencephalic nucleus. The second part here, this one, which is present in the pons, is called as the principal sensory nucleus. This is principal sensory, or you can even call it the chief sensory. Principal sensory or chief sensory nucleus. And the third nucleus, the third part here, well, this, as I said, it starts in the pons. Major part is in the medulla oblongata, but because it goes to the spinal cord, in fact, to tell you, it was a question even asked, it extends till the C2 level of the spinal cord. It goes to the second cervical segment. It goes to the C2 level of the spinal cord, and for that reason, this nucleus is called as a spinal nucleus. This is called a spinal nucleus because it extends to the spinal cord, so we call it a spinal nucleus. Mesencephalic nucleus, the word mesencephalic came from mesencephalon, that is midbrain. Principal sensory nucleus, the thickest part. Maximum fibers will go into that. It's a very thick part of the nucleus present in the pons. And the one which is in the pons, in medulla, and also in the upper part of spinal cord is spinal nucleus. Why do we have the three different nuclei? Because they are all carrying different information. Now, before I write them, I want you to understand this. When you compare the head and neck to the rest of the body, in the rest of the body, I hope you all know there are different types of tracts which are present there. We have a dorsal column tract, we have a have a spinothalamic tract, we have a spinocerebellar tract. So we have a different track for different function. Like we have a different track for proprioception, we have a separate track for pain and temperature, we have a separate set of track for the touch and pressure, and so on. In head and neck, we don't have dorsal column tract, we don't have all these, spinothalamic tract. That means everything in this part, especially in this face region, it is done by the trigeminal nerve only. So my trigeminal nerve is having the responsibility of carrying everything, be it pain, temperature, touch, pressure, proprioception. So let me take one example very specifically. Like if ophthalmic nerve is carrying the pain, temperature, and all the sensation from the forehead region, it goes inside the brainstem, and by the time it reaches a nuclei in the brainstem, there should be a separate nucleus for separate information. So the ophthalmic nerve goes inside, and by the time ophthalmic nerve, let's say, reaches here, then the sensation, they separates. The proprioceptive information will go into the upper part, the pain and temperature will go into the lower part, and that is why we have three different nuclei here. So mesencephalic nucleus is the one which will carry all the proprioceptive information. So it is for the proprioception. Mesencephalic nucleus is for the proprioception. Principal sensory nucleus is for touch and pressure. This is to carry the touch and pressure. And the spinal nucleus is the one which is carrying pain and temperature predominantly. Proprioception, touch and pressure, and pain and temperature. These are the general sensations we talk about, and they're all going into the trigeminal nuclei, but you have to remember which part of the trigeminal nuclei. Proprioception above, then touch and pressure, and then pain and temperature. Now, using this basic information about this GSA column, there are loads of questions asked in the previous exam, and especially the Central Institute, INICT, they're very fond of asking questions from the mesencephalic nucleus. Now, one we already said is mesencephalic nucleus is for proprioception. Now, see what other kind of questions can be derived from here. Now, once they ask this question that what nucleus in the brainstem is the center for the jaw reflex? What is the nucleus for the jaw reflex here? Now, jaw reflex, when you talk about the jaw reflex, it's a deep tendon reflex, just like your patellar reflex. So when you tap a patellar tendon, then obviously you send inside the stretch and the proprioception. And for that stretch and proprioception, you get the reflex in the knee. Same story here. For the jaw reflex, you tap in here. The mandibular nerve is the one which will carry the proprioceptive information. And proprioceptive information will go into which nucleus? Mesencephalic nucleus. And that's why please note that mesencephalic nucleus is the nucleus for jaw, or you can say mesenteric reflex, same thing. Jaw reflex or mesenteric reflex. It's a nucleus for jaw reflex or mesenteric reflex. Then next year, they again ask the same kind of question, but this time they again can change the information here. This dramatic change in the language of questions makes us feel that the questions are asked differently every time, but that is not the case. It's the same information which is being used in a different way. You know it is a nucleus for proprioception. From there you can derive that this is going to be the nucleus for a deep tendon reflex, that is jaw reflex. And then what question was asked? The question was that what is the site in the central nervous system where you find pseudo-unipolar neurons, guys? What is the site in the central nervous system where you find pseudo-unipolar neuron? Now I want you to first understand the need for pseudo-unipolar neuron, and then we'll mark the answer here. Now if you talk about jaw reflex, you can just write it separately anyway. If this here, let us say, is the mandible, and you're just doing this jaw reflex test on it. Now once you tap here, the sensation through the mandibular nerve will go like this. There is a mandibular nerve. So that's a proprioceptive information. Let us say the proprioceptive information is going through the mandibular nerve. This is the mandibular nerve, the sensory branch of mandibular nerve, and goes into what nucleus? It goes into the mesencephalic nucleus. Let me just draw it. That is a mesencephalic nucleus. You already know that, right? The point is, this mandibular nerve is not going to relay there. This mandibular nerve is not going to relay there, because if mandibular nerve will relay there, so first relay will take place here, and the second relay will take place in the motor nucleus. We don't have enough time in the reflex that you relay once, you relay twice, and then the motor output will come. This information will go in the mesencephalic nucleus, and we have a pseudo-unipolar neuron present over there, which will allow the fiber to come out from the other side and direct these fibers to the motor nucleus of mandibular nerve. This here is the motor nucleus of mandibular nerve. It goes to the motor nucleus of mandibular nerve, and obviously the mandibular nerve will come out, and we all know it supplies what muscle? As the question goes, it supplies the masseter muscle. That's the reflex pathway you're looking at. That's the reflex pathway you're looking at. So sensation goes through mandibular nerve into mesencephalic nucleus. Do not relay there. We have a pseudo-unipolar neuron, thankfully, which will guide the information toward the motor nucleus of mandibular nerve, where they will relay. And now the efferent will come out and supply the masseter muscle. That means in this total reflex pathway, the synapse took place only once. Here only. There was no synapses here. The only synapse took place is here. And that is a general principle for all the deep tendon reflex, whether it is ankle reflex or knee reflex or biceps reflex or jaw reflex, that all the deep tendon reflexes are monosynaptic reflexes. Deep tendon reflexes, DTR, deep tendon reflexes are by law monosynaptic reflexes. They are all monosynaptic reflexes. Which makes sense, guys. Imagine if we have a relay in the nucleus, then next fiber will start there and come here, and then again will start here and come here. So it will be a bisynaptic or trisynaptic reflex, and the speed of the reflex will be compromised. We want to have a reflex. We want it very fast. Sensation should go in, and quickly the reflex should come out. And that is only possible by having a least number of synapses. So only one synapse, and that is taking place in the motor nucleus. So we have a monosynaptic. All the deep tendon reflexes are monosynaptic reflexes. They synapse only once. Which gave us the answer to the question when we said that pseudo-unipolar neurons are present where in the brainstem? The answer is again mesencephalic nucleus. So this mesencephalic nucleus, please note that, is the only site. Is the only site in CNS. Is the only site in CNS for pseudo-unipolar neurons. For pseudo-unipolar, guys, you call it pseudo-unipolar or even unipolar, same thing only. Functionally, when you talk about, they are actually pseudo-unipolar only. So even if in some books it is written as unipolar, don't confuse. That's the same thing. Unipolar or pseudo-unipolar actually means the same here. So only site in CNS for pseudo-unipolar neurons. So see how the informations are derived from one thing, that mesencephalic nucleus is for proprioception. From there, we could identify, okay, if it is a site for proprioception, then this has to do something with the jaw reflex, because obviously the proprioception comes into it. And because it is a site for the jaw reflex, so it has to be the site of what neuron? The pseudo-unipolar neuron. And the important point, again, let me remind you here, is CNS, in central nervous system. Because in peripheral nervous system, we have loads and loads of examples for pseudo-unipolar neuron. Dorsal root ganglia, geniculate ganglion. At so many places we have pseudo-unipolar neuron, but in the central nervous system, nowhere else we have pseudo-unipolar except for mesencephalic nucleus. And And finally, which is very recently, just a couple of years back, there was another question asked from the same nuclei, but this time they shifted their focus from mesencephalic nucleus to the spinal nucleus. Now see, the question was that which of the following information or which of the following sensation is not carried to the spinal nucleus. Now when somebody say which of the following information or sensation is not carried to the spinal nucleus, the two options are easily eliminated. Pain and temperature. Pain and temperature are definitely coming into it, so that cannot be the answer. We have to find out which is not coming into it. Now the other option they gave was touch and proprioception. Now, if you remember, I told you that the nucleus, the spinal nucleus, is present in the pons also. It starts in the pons. That means it is adherent to what? Principal sensory nucleus. So it is very much possible that the cranial part of spinal nucleus might be having some properties of principal nucleus as well. That's why it is to be noted that the cranial part of the spinal nucleus, is also having some fibers for touch and pressure. Just the cranial part. The cranial part of spinal nucleus also carries touch and pressure. So I can attribute the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve for pain, temperature, predominantly of course, but the cranial part is also carrying the touch and pressure. But yes, one information which is definitely not going into this is proprioception. So answer to that question would be the proprioception has nothing to do with the spinal nucleus. So this is about the cranial nerve nuclei and the columns. If I again take you back here, a very quick recap on the columns here. It's always better to kind of learn everything during the lecture itself. So guys, GSC, the first column, again, so the first column is for what? That is dedicated only for extraocular and tongue muscle. That's why the nerve that you're looking at over there are supplying either extraocular muscles or tongue muscles. SVE, the column pharyngeal arches. Look at the nerve supplying the pharyngeal arches. Mandibular nerve for the first arch, facial for the second arch, glossopharyngeal third arch, fourth and sixth arch have a vagus nerve, and cranial accessories also supplying the muscles of pharyngeal arch but via vagus. So nucleus ambiguous is there. GV, parasympathetic column, Edinger-Westphal superior inferior salivatory dorsal nucleus of vagus. The nucleus of third nerve, seventh nerve, ninth nerve, and tenth nerve. The parasympathetic nuclei are there in the GV column. GVA, SVA, general visceral afferent, special visceral afferent. Only one nucleus doing both the function. So all the visceral information, whether it is a general type of sensation or a taste sensation, goes into the nucleus of tractus solitarius. GSA, probably the most important, three-part, mesencephalic, principal sensory, and spinal. For proprioception, for touch and pressure, for pain and temperature. And remember one thing guys, although we name this nucleus as trigeminal nuclei, but that doesn't mean only trigeminal nerve or fiber can come inside. Any nerve which is carrying pain, temperature, touch, pressure from the somatic structure or from the body wall, or you can say from the skin, let's say for example, will come into this. So if facial nerve is carrying any general sensation from the body wall, that can come into this nuclei. Don't think the name is trigeminal nuclei, so only trigeminal nerve will come inside. No. Think about what is the function. The function is GSA. So don't bother about the name. In the last column, SSA, special somatic afferent, which is only having this vestibulocochlear nuclei present at pontomedullary junction. Once we're done with these, the columns here, now when we talk about the cranial nerves in the next part, we'll take every single cranial nerve and we also have to look at which column they belong to, and then we'll discuss it, because I want you to anticipate the nuclei for that particular nerve, and then after that we'll look into the nerve and then we'll find out that what nerve is having how many nuclei, which will also define the type of function a particular nerve will do. So let's start with the third nerve. Third nerve, oculomotor nerve. We already seen the nuclei of the third nerve, the two major nucleus, that is the motor nucleus of oculomotor nerve and Edinger-Westphal. They were both present in the midbrain. So regarding the nuclei are present in midbrain, and the important thing is at the level of superior colliculus. At the level of superior colliculus. So even if you don't remember what is superior or inferior colliculus, let's wait for it in the neuro part. Midbrain section is discussed at two levels. One is at the level of superior colliculus, one at the level of inferior colliculus. There has been question in the past in which they gave a transverse section of the orbit. One of the muscle there was marked like medial rectus, or any other muscle is marked. And the question will be asked like that, the nerve supplying the following muscle will have its nuclei at what level? So not only we have to identify the muscle in the image, we need to know that what nerve will supply it. We should know where is the nuclei, like in the midbrain, and where exactly in the midbrain it is at the level of superior colliculus. So third nucleus and Edinger-Westphal nucleus both are present at the level of superior colliculus. Fourth nucleus, which we'll discuss next, will be at the level of inferior colliculus. Once again, before going into the nerve, now this is the point where I want to discuss the columns for these nerves. Before starting with the nerve, let's talk about the columns. How many columns, cranial nuclei column, we have for third nerve? Well, GSE column definitely belongs to the third nerve. We know the somatic because it is supplying extraocular and tongue muscle. So because of the supply to the extraocular muscle, GSE column definitely is there. Then Edinger-Westphal also belong to third nerve, and Edinger-Westphal, if you remember, belongs to GVE column. So GVE column is because of which muscles? That is because of the sphincter pupillae. Is because of sphincter pupillae and ciliates, which is obviously supplied by the Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Generally, that's what we say. We have two columns. Generally, we say we have two columns for the third nerve. But if you are going for the PGME, then obviously there is one more column which can be added to it. Although we say third nerve, fourth nerve, sixth and 12th nerve, these are purely motor nerves. But the thing is, there is nothing called as purely motor nerve. Either we have sensory cranial nerves or we have a mixed cranial nerves. So like third nerve is supplying extraocular muscle, like superior rectus and levator palpebrae superioris and other muscles. Now whatever muscle they will supply, from the same muscle, they will also take proprioception. Although that proprioception is given to trigeminal nuclei, but because they're carrying proprioception from those muscles, so the proprioceptive information is also, the column of the proprioceptive information will also come here. What was the column for proprioceptive information? That was GSA. Remember that mesencephalic nucleus, big mesencephalic nucleus, which is in the GSA column. So GSA column is here because this third nerve is carrying the proprioception from extraocular muscle. It is carrying proprioception from extraocular muscle. I repeat again what I'm saying. These two columns definitely, every single book you'll find, they say usually we have two columns for third nerve, GSE and GV, proving that it is a motor nerve. But in some of the textbook of neuroanatomy, they've even mentioned GSA because the third nerve, and for that matter, any other cranial nerve supplying extraocular muscle, they also take the proprioception from the same muscle, and that's why an afferent column is also to be included here. Now, let us first put up a platform on which we can discuss the third nerve. For any nerve which is coming from posterior cranial fossa, whether third, fourth, or sixth, and reaching the orbit, like there are two, three entities in between. The nerve starts from the posterior cranial fossa, will go forward. In the middle cranial fossa, they will find out the cavernous sinus. So these third nerve, fourth nerve, sixth nerve, they all have some relation to cavernous sinus. We'll see. Once they leave the cavernous sinus, they enter in the orbit through superior orbital fissure. And once they reach the orbit, then they will supply the respective muscle. So I want you to just draw this plot with me, starting from very much left side of the page. Let us say this is a midbrain. Let's say this is a section of the midbrain taken at the level of the superior colliculus. That's a midbrain section taken at the level of superior colliculus. Here are the superior colliculus. These colliculus are the nuclei present in the dorsal part of brainstem. I'm just writing in short ways. This is, let's say, SC, that is superior colliculus. We'll be discussing the parts of the midbrain in the neuroanatomy, but the portion which I'm highlighting here, this portion of the midbrain, the ventral part of the midbrain is called as cerebral peduncle. We can call them crus cerebri or cerebral peduncle. I should write that also. This here is called as a cerebral peduncle. So if these are the two cerebral peduncle, so the fossa that we have in between, the space in between should be called as what? Interpeduncular fossa. It's the space between the two peduncles and we call it interpeduncular fossa. Let's say we have a third nucleus. Here, this is a third nucleus of the right side and a third nucleus of left side. And that's what the speciality of the third nucleus is. Both side nucleus, they are fused in the midline. The two nucleus, one we have third nucleus of right and the left side, but they are fusing in the midline. And obviously we have a Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Let's say, if I just put it at some distance here, just for the sake of reference, that is Edinger-Westphal. To find out space to label them, this is the third nerve nucleus, the motor nucleus of third nerve. That's the motor nucleus of third nerve. And let's say this here is the Edinger-Westphal. Right? So that's the part of brainstem that we need from where the third nerve will begin. You're looking at the section of the brainstem where in the midbrain, what level? At the level of superior colliculus. What you see there? You see there are two third nerve nucleus obviously present, bilaterally present, but they're fusing in the midline, which is having some clinical significance also. And then we have two separate Edinger-Westphal nucleus as well. If I go beyond, then we said we got a cavernous sinus. So let's say guys, this here is the cavernous sinus, which is in the middle cranial fossa. There is the cavernous sinus. And you go beyond the cavernous sinus, we got a fissure here, that is a superior orbital fissure. In fact, the anterior relation of cavernous sinus is superior orbital fissure only. This is the cavernous sinus. And here we got the superior orbital fissure. And finally, we'll be reaching the eyeball where all these muscles are to be supplied. Where all muscles except SO4 and LR6. So rest all the muscles I need to mark here. So we got a superior rectus, which is overlapped by this LPS, levator pelvic superioris is there. This is medial rectus. We got inferior rectus. And let's say here is the inferior oblique. Inferior oblique, inferior rectus, medial, superior and LPS. So that's the kind of, more or less, that's the kind of plot we'll need for other nerves also. We'll be looking at a brainstem, then cavernous sinus, then superior orbital fissure, and ultimately getting inside the orbit to supply the respective muscles. How the third nerve originates? Now, originating from the respective nuclei, guys. Originating from third nucleus, the third nerve, first of all, when it comes out in this fossa that is called as interpeduncular fossa. So when you see the third nerve comes out here, let me stop here. When the third nerve comes out, it is coming out from between the two peduncles. So first point to be noted here is, the third nerve is the content. It's the content of the interpeduncular fossa. It is the content of interpeduncular fossa, which is having a very important significance. We'll come to that. As soon as the nerve leaves the interpeduncular fossa or it leaves the midbrain, it passes between the two branches of basilar artery, the two terminal branches of basilar artery. And those two branches are, what is the terminal branch of basilar artery? We have posterior cerebral, let's say this is PCA, posterior cerebral artery. And the artery which is just proximal to PCA is superior cerebellar artery. Superior cerebellar artery. Both are the branches of basilar artery. The basilar artery divides into posterior cerebral, and just behind that we have superior cerebellar artery. And you see third nerve is passing exactly between the two arteries. Then the third nerve, when it reaches the cavernous sinus, what is the relation with cavernous sinus? It is not going inside. The third nerve is adherent to the lateral wall. So you can see the third nerve is crossing and it is adherent to the lateral wall of cavernous sinus. Another important information which will be needed when we talk about the relations of cavernous sinus. In the lateral wall of cavernous sinus, we have third nerve. But guys, third nerve, before it goes into superior orbital fissure, it divides into two divisions. We have upper division and the lower division is seen here. The upper division will obviously go and supply the upper two muscle. It will supply the LPS and it will supply the SR also. It will supply the levator pelvic superioris and superior rectus. Whereas the lower division will take care of the remaining three muscles. It supplies medial rectus, it supplies inferior rectus, and it also supplies inferior oblique. So this, let me write, this is UD, that is upper division, and this is LD, that is lower division. Upper division supplies two muscles, superior rectus and LPS, and lower division remaining three muscles. And out of all the muscles, all these muscles in here, medial rectus is the one which you need to specially keep an eye on, because upper division will be supplying the upper two muscles, makes sense. Lower division will supply the inferior rectus, inferior oblique. Again, that also is easy to remember. But medial rectus you have to remember. Medial rectus is by lower division, that's the point to take away from here. Even more important thing is here is Edinger-Westphal. Now, we said Edinger-Westphal will supply sphincter pupillae and ciliaris muscle, and it will use the third nerve to reach there. Now, how exactly it will use it? Before I draw the path, let me tell you, Edinger-Westphal fiber will join with the third nerve. They will keep running in the third nerve only. Then they decide to go with the lower division of third nerve, and then they decide to go with the nerve supplying the inferior oblique muscle. And they finally separate from here and goes into their respective ganglion in the orbit called as the ciliary ganglion. Let me draw the pathway for you. I'm using a different color for it. So guys, let's say the fiber starting from the Edinger-Westphal, they are going along with the third nerve only. Then they move along with the inferior or the lower division. And then finally you see them going with the nerve to inferior oblique. And from there they separate and they go into the respective parasympathetic ganglion. And what is the respective parasympathetic ganglion? That is the ciliary ganglion. I'll tell you the location of the ciliary ganglion separately. That's the ciliary ganglion. That is how Edinger-Westphal, these parasympathetic fibers from the Edinger-Westphal, they reach the ciliary ganglion using the nerve to inferior oblique. That's again an important information. That fibers to ciliary ganglion, they reach the ganglion via nerve to inferior oblique. They might ask you guys, which nerve carries the fiber specifically to ciliary ganglion? That is nerve nerve to inferior oblique, nerve to inferior oblique. And from the ciliary ganglion, now we got all these short ciliary nerves coming out. All the short ciliary nerves comes out of the ciliary ganglion, and they are the one which supplies the sphincter pupillae. They supply sphincter pupillae and ciliaris muscle. They supply the sphincter pupillae and ciliaris muscle. Dilator pupillae is supplied by the sympathetic nerve. I can tell you the same thing here so that you don't forget that. Sphincter pupillae and ciliaris. Please remember that it's only sphincter pupillae and ciliaris. Sphincter pupillae and ciliaris. Just an added information here so that you don't forget it. Dilator pupillae. Dilator pupillae has nothing to do with the cranial nerves. Dilator pupillae is supplied by. Now, what will happen from the spinal cord? From the spinal cord, the sympathetic nerve will originate. The sympathetic nerve somehow will reach the superior cervical ganglion. Let's say this is the superior cervical sympathetic ganglion. We know sympathetic chain in the neck region is having three ganglions: superior, middle, inferior. Sometimes instead of inferior we have stellate. So superior cervical ganglion, and from the superior cervical ganglion, the post-ganglionic sympathetic nerve will come out, will make a plexus around some artery. Let's say it's ophthalmic artery. Let us say it's ophthalmic artery. So post-ganglionic nerve will come out from here. It will make a plexus around this ophthalmic artery, and then the post-ganglionic fibers will reach what muscle? The dilator pupillae muscle. So sphincter pupillae is supplied by Edinger-Westphal using the third nerve, and I just told you that how dilator pupillae are to be supplied. They are supplied by the sympathetic nerve. Where it is coming from? The post-ganglionic fiber are seen coming from superior cervical ganglion, making a sympathetic plexus around the ophthalmic artery, and then ultimately goes to supply the dilator pupillae. Okay. Now, what all important information we can fetch from here? That we already said the third nerve is a content of what? It is a content of interpeduncular fossa. It is a content of interpeduncular fossa, and because the nerve is coming out between the two major arteries, we saw that the nerve emerges between. The nerve emerges between what two artery? It was PCA, posterior cerebral artery, and superior cerebellar artery. Now, this location of the third nerve makes it vulnerable to the aneurysm also. Third nerve is a content of interpeduncular fossa, and in the same interpeduncular cistern, we have posterior part of circle of Willis. Now, what is there in the posterior part of circle of Willis? PCA is one of them. Posterior cerebral artery, we all know, it contributes to the circle of Willis also. So, if PCA is there, and PCA is also having a posterior communicating artery, let's not go into that part in detail. So, basically remember that we have a posterior part of circle of Willis in the same fossa, in the same interpeduncular fossa in this region here. And third nerve is coming out of it here. So, the aneurysm which involves this region, or the posterior part of circle of Willis, the most commonly involved nerve will be the third. The most commonly involved nerve will be the third nerve. So, you can note that because of its anatomical location, the third nerve is most commonly involved in intracranial aneurysms. Intracranial aneurysms. There also, I remember a question asked in 2014. The question was that they gave the names of the muscle like superior rectus, LBS, medial rectus. I mean, all the muscles which are supplied by third nerve only. But the question was asked that which of the muscles supplied by the third nerve, but not the ipsilateral third nuclei. It is supplied by third nerve, but not the same side third nucleus. See, what is the answer to that question is, because we said that third nucleus of the right side and the third nucleus of the left side, they are fusing in the midline. Let's say that's how it is. If I just draw it as a midline here. So this is the motor nucleus of third nerve here, that's the motor nucleus of third nerve here. So, and both the nucleus you can see are fusing in the midline here. Well, undoubtedly the nerve fiber which will come out of it, those nerves will go to their corresponding side and supply the muscle of that side only. The right side fiber will go and supply the right side extraocular muscles. Left side fiber will go and supply left side extraocular muscle, except one. And that muscle is what? That is superior rectus. Now those fibers which are supplying superior rectus, they originate and then they decussate to the other side and then go and supply the superior rectus of the contralateral side like this. So those superior rectus muscle, it is supplied by the same side nerve. I mean, if you look at if let's say it is the right side third nerve, the right side third nerve is supplying right superior rectus, but not the right side nuclei. The nuclei is present on the contralateral side. So nuclei is present on the contralateral side. So it's important to note that superior rectus is the muscle which is supplied by contralateral third nucleus. Not contralateral third nerve, contralateral third nucleus. Opposite side third nucleus here. Which gives rise to one question here that if let's say the question says there is injury to third nerve or if there is injury to third nucleus, what difference will be there, guys? If let's say there is injury to third nerve here, let's say this is a third nerve injury. This is third, let me write the full thing, that's a third nerve injury. Then obviously everything is involved on the ipsilateral side. So it's all ipsilateral involvement. Everything is ipsilateral involved. Ipsilateral, extraocular muscle, including the same side superior rectus also. So it's a ipsilateral involvement is there. But yes, if the question says there is a third nucleus injury is there, not the nerve nucleus. So in case of nucleus, third nucleus injury, what difference will you see, guys? The difference will be, obviously, if a third nucleus is involved, again we have ipsilateral extraocular muscle involved. But what about superior rectus? Well, superior rectus of both sides will be involved. Why both sides? Because the fibers which are coming from opposite side are also involved because they are coming from inside the nucleus. When you look at that, if you look at these fibers, they are coming on this side only and then coming out, so they are affected. And the one which are originating here and going on to the other side, they are also affected. So despite of having an injury to only one side, superior rectus involvement will be there on both sides. So that's the point here, that we have ipsilateral extraocular muscle involvement, ipsilateral extraocular involvement, but bilateral superior rectus involvement will be there. The rest of the extraocular muscle are involved only on the same side, but superior rectus of both sides will be involved. So that is the speciality of this third nucleus, because it's fusing in the midline and the fibers of superior rectus are kind of decussating inside and reaching the overall, if there is a third nerve injury, guys, what are the features? I mean, what are the clinical features that you will see in the injury to third nerve? If there is a third nerve injury, let's take the important muscle supplied by third nerve and that will get the answer to us. Like obviously LPS is gone. So if levator pelvis superioris muscle is involved, there will be ptosis. And ptosis of what side? Ipsilateral. If right side third nerve is gone, right side LPS is gone. So it will be ipsilateral ptosis. Medial rectus is also gone. Medial rectus supplied by third nerve. And because of medial rectus is gone, but lateral rectus is working, which is supplied by the abducens abducens nerve because lateral rectus is working. So there will be ipsilateral divergent squint. Ipsilateral divergent squint will be there. Ipsilateral divergent squint will be there. The eyeball will be abducted on the same side. Now once again, if I write the name of the medial rectus just for the sake of convenience, guys, medial rectus plus superior rectus plus inferior oblique. If you look at the collective effect of the injury to these muscles, medial rectus, superior rectus and inferior oblique, we know that superior rectus and inferior oblique both are to look up. Superior rectus and inferior oblique are both are to look up, and medial rectus to look inside. So there will be opposite of it. So the eyeball will be down and the eyeball will be out. We already said out, that is divergent squint, and that's why in third nerve injury we usually say the third nerve injury leads to the ipsilateral down and out eyeball. Ipsilateral down and out eyeball. Ipsilateral down and out eyeball because of the third nerve palsy. Right? Sphincter pupillae. Edinger-Westphal fibers are also affected because of the third nerve, so sphincter pupillae is involved, and involvement of sphincter pupillae will lead to what? It will lead to the dilated pupil. Why it will lead to dilated pupil? Because dilated pupil is still working. It is supplied by the sympathetic nerve. So there will be dilated pupil, and loss of light reflex. The sphincter pupil is affected, so there will be loss of light reflex. And finally, ciliaris muscle is also affected by the third nerve injury, and involvement of ciliaris muscle will lead to the loss of accommodation. Loss of accommodation reflex. So these are some typical features of the third nerve injury. We got an ipsilateral ptosis, the divergent squint, down and out eyeball, dilated pupil, loss of light, and the accommodation reflex. Easily justified by looking at what exactly third nerve is supplying. So from here on, let's move on to the fourth nerve, the trochlear nerve. Now knowing all this, now let's talk about the fourth and the trochlear. Guys, the trochlear nerve, again, if you look at the stations there, it's got to start from the midbrain. We've got to go to the cavernous sinus, the superior orbital fissure, and then one muscle in the eyeball, that is superior oblique. But this time the difference is the section of the midbrain should be taken at the level of inferior colliculus. So the fourth nucleus is present. Talk about nucleus. The fourth nucleus is present where in midbrain at inferior colliculus level. At the level of inferior colliculus or at inferior colliculus level. Third was at the superior colliculus, it is at the inferior colliculus. Once again, if I talk about the columns, think about it. Fourth nerve is supplying muscle, that is superior oblique. Extraocular muscle comes under GSE. So one column has to be GSE once again. Why GSE? Because it is supplying superior oblique, which is an extraocular muscle which comes under somatic muscles. And again, we have to add GSA here because the same fourth nerve is carrying proprioception from superior oblique. It is carrying the proprioception from superior oblique. So GSE, and again, majority of the books of new anatomy, they say one column only, that is GSE. But as I said, many neuro authors, they believe that GSA column should also be counted because it is carrying the proprioception from superior oblique. Let's draw the pathway for this fourth nerve. Now, once again, we are looking at a section of a midbrain. And this time the section is taken at the level of inferior colliculus. So just make sure I write IC over there as inferior colliculus. These are once again the cerebral peduncle. We don't have to label them again. That is cerebral peduncle. Now the difference is when you saw the third nucleus, the right and left nucleus were kind of fusing in the midline. Not here. The fourth nucleus, they are present separately. The right and the left nucleus, they are separately placed like this. So that's the fourth nucleus of the right and the left side. Rest of the story is same. We got a cavernous sinus here. We got superior orbital fissure again. And just one muscle to be supplied this time, and that is the superior oblique muscle. Here's cavernous sinus, and that is the, once again, SOF, I'm writing for superior orbital fissure. See, everything important about fourth nerve is to be seen in the beginning only. The majority of the questions which are worth asking are there in the beginning part. First of all, fourth or trochlear is the only nerve which is coming from the dorsal aspect of brainstem. So how you'll see the nerve coming out, the nerve will start and then decussate within the midbrain and emerge like this. So that's the first thing. Make sure when you draw it, the decussation that we're looking at should be inside midbrain. The decussation over there, it is present within the midbrain, not outside. Many Google images have shown this incorrectly, where they've shown the decussation outside. No, it is inside the midbrain only. And then the nerve is winding around the entire brainstem like this, on the peduncle also, comes like this, again running in the lateral wall of cavernous sinus through superior orbital fissure and ultimately goes and supplies the superior oblique. So here relation, no change, that is again it is in the lateral wall, just like third nerve, it is also in the lateral wall. Just like third nerve, it is also present between the same two arteries, the same two terminal branches of the basilar artery, and those were PCA, the posterior cerebral artery, and superior cerebellar artery. Superior cerebellar artery, so no changes in that. So what I've said, that everything important about the fourth nerve, the things which are noteworthy are seen in the beginning itself. Now what you're looking at from this diagram is that first of all the nerve is coming from the dorsal aspect. So it's the only nerve, only cranial nerve emerging from dorsal aspect of brainstem. From the dorsal aspect of brainstem. Right, that's one thing. If a nerve, then secondly, the lower motor neuron that you're looking at, obviously there are lower motor neuron after the nucleus, it will be lower motor neuron. The lower motor neuron, they're decussating and then they are emerging out. So that the lower motor neurons, they decussate. They decussate where? Again, within brainstem only. The lower motor neuron, they decussate within brainstem. So one important thing is it is from the dorsal aspect here, and the second important thing you're seeing that lower motor neurons are decussating here. Usually when you talk about any cranial nerve, we talk about their upper motor neurons are decussating, like facial nerve, upper motor neuron decussates. But here it's the lower motor neuron which are showing the feature of decussation. And what happens is a nerve first decussates, come from the dorsal aspect. winds around the brainstem and then goes forward into cavernous sinus, which makes this nerve to have a longest intracranial course. The fourth nerve is having the longest intracranial course. Longest intracranial course. Be careful with the word, guys. Intracranial, not intradural, not intraosseous, not the longest nerve. It is the longest intracranial course. Now that is having the fourth. And finally, fourth nerve is the thinnest cranial nerve. Either you call it thinnest, or you can call it the most slender. Thinnest is slender, most slender, or you can even call it the smallest cranial nerve. It is the thinnest, most slender, or the smallest cranial nerve. Now, smallest is the word which makes some people raise their eyebrow that how come it is the smallest nerve? Because when you say the word smallest, people usually think of the olfactory. Well, guys, olfactory is not the smallest cranial nerve. Olfactory is the shortest cranial nerve. Difference. That is the shortest, this is smallest. So when you talk about the smallest and largest, you're talking about the thickness of the nerve. When you say shortest and longest, then you're talking about the length. So like shortest is olfactory and longest is vagus, right? But when you talk about the smallest and largest, smallest is this one, the fourth nerve, and largest is trigeminal. That's about the thickness. So thinnest nerve or the smallest nerve is trochlear, but the thickest nerve is going to be trigeminal. It's trigeminal. So here it is corresponding to the thickness and not to the length here. So that's about the fourth nerve, guys. The fourth nerve, which is coming from the dorsal aspect and winding around the brainstem. So all these that you're discussing here, this will aid us in the neuroanatomy part also. Because the neuroanatomy, if I draw a section of the brainstem for you and you look at from the posterior aspect, the nerve that you'll see coming from around the brainstem and then reaching backward is the fourth nerve. So whatever we're discussing here will definitely going to aid in the neuro part. With that, coming to the third and the last nerve in this category, supplying the extraocular muscle, we've done the third, fourth, and now we'll talk about the sixth nerve first. We'll take the fifth later. So coming to the sixth nerve, the abducens. Same question, where will you find the nucleus? Think about when we discussed the brainstem column, where was the nucleus for the sixth nerve? The sixth nucleus is present in pons. It was present in the pons. And at the level of, now this time what is the special thing about that level? At the level of facial colliculus. At the level of the facial colliculus. So the brainstem, where it is coming on the response, and the level is the facial colliculus from where the sixth nerve will come out. Now what is facial colliculus? Although we discussed facial colliculus in the seventh nerve, facial colliculus, the facial nerve is winding around the sixth nucleus and comes out. I hope you all know about the internal genu. If this is the sixth nucleus, and let's say this is the seventh nucleus, so seventh nerve is having a property to turn around and comes out like this. So that bulge which is formed in here, this bulge which is formed here around the sixth nucleus, this is called as the facial colliculus. That bulge can be very clearly seen in the floor of the fourth ventricle and we call it facial colliculus. Coming to column, again the column remains the same, the GSE column, general somatic efferent column. General somatic efferent column, why? Because it is supplying lateral rectus. It is supplying extraocular muscle. And same story again, GSA can also be included because it is believed to carry proprioception from lateral rectus. It is carrying the proprioception from lateral rectus. So that's some introductory part about it. Sixth nerve at the level of, in the pons, present in the pons at the level of facial colliculus, and we have the two columns related to it. If you have to go with one column only, the first column is your definitely best answer. But if you are asked to have a multiple answer, something like that, you can go with the GSA also. Let's draw the plot for the sixth nerve. Now this time the things are a bit different because, see, it's important to understand the third and fourth nerve, they were coming from the midbrain. Whether it is superior or inferior colliculus, but it was midbrain, and then they were going toward the cavernous sinus. Now cavernous sinus and midbrain are at the same level only. So the nerve just have to go straight into it. This time, the sixth nerve will come from pons. Pons is slightly below. If pons is slightly below, that means the nerve first has to ascend upward, reach the pons, reach the cavernous sinus, and then goes inside. And that's why there is an obliquity that you see in the course of the sixth nerve. It's not going straight into the brainstem or straight to the cavernous sinus from brainstem. It is coming out obliquely from the brainstem and going into cavernous sinus. So, let us say if this here is pons, just make sure to draw the cavernous sinus slightly higher. This is the cavernous sinus. And rest the same thing. Superior orbital fissure. And the muscle to be supplied, that is lateral rectus. Okay. What we already mentioned here, that facial nerve nucleus will be there. Facial nerve nucleus is there, and facial nerve like winds like this and then comes out from pontomedullary junction. So we'll see that later. This is the facial nerve. And it is winding around the sixth nucleus only. So that, let's say, is the sixth nucleus. So it is winding around the sixth nucleus. So let's say the sixth nerve which ascend upward to reach the cavernous sinus, and then it goes inside the cavernous sinus. It goes inside cavernous sinus, unlike third and fourth nerve, through the superior orbital fissure to the lateral rectus. So one important difference you see here is that this nerve is not in the lateral wall. The sixth nerve is present inside the sinus. Second important thing, when the nerve is ascending upward to reach cavernous sinus, it is having a very, very important bony relation there. Petrous temporal bone, guys. You know the temporal bone is having a squamous part and petrous part. The petrous part is forming the middle ear cavity and all that, and petrous part is mainly facing inside the cranial cavity. So petrous part is having an apex, which I'll show in the osteology region. So there is an apex of petrous temporal bone which is in close relation to this nerve just behind cavernous sinus. So let's say it's a part of a petrous temporal bone which is very sharp. It is the apex of petrous temporal bone. Apex of the petrous temporal bone, and to that apex we have the sixth nerve related here. Close to the apex of petrous temporal bone, there is a ligamentous canal which is present here. There's a canal which is made up of ligament, guys. There's a canal here. They've asked this question twice about this canal. This canal is called as a Dorello's canal. This canal is called as the Dorello's canal. That's a Dorello's canal. So it's another very, very important information that sixth nerve, it passes through this ligamentous canal called as Dorello's canal. And let's say the question is asked that which ligament forms the Dorello's canal. The ligament is called as a petroclinoid ligament. It's coming from the petrous part of bone and it is going to the clinoid process of sphenoid bone. So petroclinoid, or you can call it petrosphenoid also, because clinoid processes are the part of sphenoid bone. So this ligament here is called as a petroclinoid clinoid ligament. You can call it petroclinoid, guys, or petrosphenoid, same thing. Petroclinoid ligament or petrosphenoid ligament. We can understand these ligaments only when we have the picture of the skull with us. And there the canal is present through which the sixth nerve is passing, and then inside the cavernous sinus. Looking at this nerve, one thing which can make out from here, the nerve, because it runs obliquely and then goes inside the cavernous sinus. So once the nerve comes out of the dura mater, it again goes inside the dura mater. So from the dura to the dura, and then again comes out. That's why the nerve is having a longest intradural course. If it was not going inside the cavernous sinus, it may not be having the longest intradural course. So it leaves the dura mater, and then again inside the cavernous sinus it goes where it is covered. Cavernous sinus is the dura mater only. That's why the nerve is regarded to have the longest intradural course. Longest intradural course. Longest intracranial was 4. This is intradural. 6th is longest intradural. And see, something very, very important to understand. If there is an increased intracranial pressure, now if the condition is there is an increased intracranial pressure. What happens? What is the response of the brainstem to the increased intracranial pressure? The brainstem tries to descend down. The largest foramen magnum, and let's say this is the middle oblongata, which is like coming out of this the foramen magnum here. So if there is increased intracranial pressure, that will push the brainstem down like this, right? The more the brainstem will descend down, the response is also descending down. This nerve will get stretched. The brainstem is descending down, the nerve will get stretched, and unfortunately, it is related to the apex of petrostemporal bone, where it can get injured also because it's very sharp margin. That's why if the question is asked, the most common nerve to be involved in increased intracranial pressure, the answer has to be. So most commonly involved in increased intracranial pressure. Now I said this, okay, this is most commonly involved in the increased intracranial pressure, but the point is, if that increased intracranial pressure is present bilaterally. If it is a bilateral increase or there is an overall increase in the cranial cavity, then only the brainstem will descend downward. If it is a unilateral, or if it's, let's say, on one side, if there is increased intracranial pressure, then brainstem is not going to descend down. It will be pushed to one side. If there is extradural hematoma, let's say there is extradural hemorrhage there on the right side, so obviously the entire brain and the brainstem will be shifted toward the left side. In that case, sixth nerve is not the most commonly involved. The nerve which was coming out of interpeduncular fossa is most commonly involved because of its anatomical relation. So which nerve was that? That was the third nerve. So please be careful, guys. If the question simply says increased intracranial pressure, then we have to presume it is bilateral. Or they might give you bilateral in the question itself. Or if they say that there is an intracranial pressure increase because of the hemorrhage, extradural hemorrhage, then obviously you have to consider it unilaterally. In that case, third nerve is the most common. So you can go back to the third nerve and you can write the third nerve is most commonly involved in ipsilateral increase in intracranial pressure. I repeat again, third nerve is most commonly involved in ipsilateral increase of intracranial pressure. Ipsilateral increase of intracranial pressure. So this is about the third nerve, the fourth nerve, and the sixth nerve, three nerves which are supplying the extraocular muscles. Now from that we have to move on to the next nerve, that is the fifth nerve or the trigeminal nerve. Now guys, before we talk about the trigeminal, we have to understand concept behind the parasympathetic ganglion, because all the parasympathetic ganglion have some relation to the trigeminal nerve. So let's have an overall look at the parasympathetic ganglion, and from there we can move on to the trigeminal nerve. parasympathetic ganglion which are present in head and neck. The parasympathetic ganglion which are present in head and neck, there are four of them. We have four parasympathetic ganglion. One is the ciliary ganglion. One is the ciliary ganglion. Then we have pterygopalatine. That is pterygopalatine ganglion. Pterygopalatine ganglion. See, pterygoid plates are the part of sphenoid bone. So either you call them pterygopalatine or you can even call it sphenopalatine ganglion. They can also be called as sphenopalatine ganglion. There's a different name. Pterygopalatine, sphenopalatine. Also called as the ganglion of hay fever. It is also called as the ganglion of hay fever. Ganglion of hay fever. We got a otic ganglion, and the fourth one is the submandibular ganglion. That is a submandibular ganglion. So that's a four parasympathetic ganglion that we have head and neck, and all four are extremely important. You got to know almost everything about these ganglion, their location, their topographic connection, their functional connection, and for some ganglion like otic ganglion especially, the relations also. But guys, before we go into that detail of the ganglion, we first need to understand that what is the common concept of any parasympathetic ganglion present in head and neck. What you need to keep in mind is whether it is ciliary, pterygopalatine, otic or submandibular, every ganglion is having at least two nerves related to it. One nerve is called as a topographic nerve, a topographic connecting nerve. And then there's a second nerve which is called as a functional nerve. Topographic, we all know topographic means morphological, so it is more like a show off. It is like connecting the ganglion to it and not doing anything inside the ganglion. Functional nerve is the one which will come into the ganglion and that will relay also inside. Let me discuss it with the help of a diagram. So let's presume this here is a nerve, and this is connected to a ganglion. So there's a nerve and you're looking at a ganglion which is connected to it. So we said we have two types of connection for every ganglion. So first type of nerve that you'll see inside going inside the ganglion is called as a topographic nerve. That will be called as a topographic connection or topographic nerve. Now what topographic nerve is doing? It will go inside the ganglion and comes out without relaying inside. So it is going in the ganglion and comes out. So basically it is just topographically connecting. It is giving an anatomical location to the ganglion by kind of hanging the ganglion to it. Nothing much. Whereas when you say functional nerve, when we talk about functional nerve, now first of all, the word functional and the ganglion is parasympathetic. Parasympathetic nerve, which nerves were parasympathetic nerves? The parasympathetic nerve in the head and neck were 3, 7, 9 and 10. That means functional nerve is either a branch of third nerve, 7th nerve, 9th nerve or maybe 10th nerve. 3, 7, 9 or 10. There has to be a branch of any of these nerves because these are the only parasympathetic nerve we got. So functional nerve is a branch of 3, 7, 9 or 10. But what functional nerve will do? Like the functional nerve will go inside the ganglion, relay there. This is the one which is relaying there. This is the one which is relaying there. And here's the important point. It will not come out of the ganglion. So it goes inside the ganglion, it will relay there, but you will never see a parasympathetic nerve, that is 3rd, 7th, 9th or 10th nerve coming out of the ganglion. You think about otic ganglion, pterygopalatine. If you remember any relation about any ganglion, you will never see a parasympathetic nerve emerging out of the ganglion. Then what is the point? What's the point of having a nerve going inside and relaying and if not coming out? Well, we do have a post-ganglionic fiber, but those post-ganglionic fibers are going to merge with the topographic nerve only. They're going to merge with the topographic nerve. That's the whole idea about the parasympathetic ganglion. The topographic nerve went in and came out without relaying inside. Functional nerve 3, 7, 9, 10, any of them will come and relay inside the ganglion. Post-ganglionic fiber will start from there, but those post-ganglionic fiber will not come out separately. They will merge with what nerve only? The topographic nerve. So suddenly this topographic nerve gained the importance before and after the ganglion. Before the ganglion, it was simply topographic nerve. But after the ganglion, the topographic nerve is not only topographic, it is also having the post-ganglionic parasympathetic fibers also inside. So if there is any injury to the nerve here, you're not only losing the topographic fibers, you're also having a functional loss also because the post-ganglionic fibers are joined in. The two very, very important points to be noted here, and they, as I said, they are the major concept here. The first thing is nerve which connects the ganglion topographically. Nerve which connects the ganglion topographically also carries what fibers? It also carries the post-ganglionic parasympathetic fibers. Post-ganglionic parasympathetic fibers. Trust me, examiner will try to catch us on the language itself here. Is it pre-ganglionic? Is it post-ganglionic? Is it sympathetic? Is it parasympathetic? Is it topographic? Is it functional? So that's why these terminology should be very, very clear to you. So what is topographic nerve is doing? It is carrying fiber. What fiber? Post-ganglionic fiber. What type of post-ganglionic? Parasympathetic post-ganglionic. So the topographic nerve is carrying the post-ganglionic parasympathetic fibers. And the second important point, which will ease us a little, that all ganglion, all four of them, we're talking about these four only, all ganglion are topographically connected to trigeminal nerve. They're all connected to the trigeminal nerve. All of them are topographically connected to the trigeminal nerve. Now I want you to take a minute and just analyze this entire thing here. First we said that topographic nerve goes in and comes out. So initially we saw that okay, topographic nerve simply just goes inside the ganglion, comes out, so it is just giving it an anatomical location only. But when we saw that functional nerve comes inside, relay there and doesn't come out, then topographic nerve also takes the responsibility of carrying the post-ganglionic parasympathetic fibers also, suddenly gain the importance. And then we just said that topographic nerve to all ganglion, ciliary, pterygopalatine, otic or submandibular, which nerve is that? That is trigeminal. So when I say topographic nerve, I'm only corresponding to the branch of what? To the trigeminal nerve. I'm corresponding to the branch of trigeminal nerve. Conclusively, in other words, what I'm saying is that post-ganglionic fibers going from any parasympathetic ganglion, it is the branch of trigeminal nerve only. It is a branch of trigeminal nerve only. So let me take one example to make you understand this even better. Now guys, let's say facial nerve. If you remember the cranial nerve columns we discussed, we said facial nerve will supply the submandibular and sublingual gland. Facial nerve we said supply submandibular, sublingual gland, or let's say lacrimal gland. Let's take a lacrimal gland example. So facial nerve fibers will come, they go into a particular ganglion. I'll tell you which ganglion is that, let's not talk about it. And and that facial nerve will relay in the ganglion, and that's it. The fibers of the facial nerve are not reaching directly to the lacrimal gland. No. From the ganglion, the fibers of trigeminal nerve will carry the lacrimal fibers, and they are the ones which are reaching the lacrimal gland. So every time you talk about any of the innervation to the gland, then you have to understand about the trigeminal nerve. That's why I usually stress on this thing that if you don't know trigeminal nerve, you can never understand facial nerve and glossopharyngeal nerve, because facial and glossopharyngeal nerve are supplying all the major glands like parotid and lacrimal and submandibular and sublingual. But how will you understand the facial and glossopharyngeal nerve completely if you don't know the trigeminal nerve, because trigeminal nerve will form the post-ganglionic pathway. So that's why in our discussion, the first nerve we'll stress on is trigeminal, and then we'll move on to the facial and the glossopharyngeal. So keeping this concept in mind, let's move on to the trigeminal nerve. Again, few introductory points here, and then we move on to trigeminal nerve. From the brainstem, if you remember, there were like two major columns were there for it. We had the second column was there, which was a pharyngeal arch column. If I talk about the column, there was the SVE column was there. SVE, special visceral efferent column was there, because mandibular nerve is supplying the muscle of mastication, which is the pharyngeal arch. So it is because it is supplying the muscles of mastication. Muscles of mastication. I hope you all know that this trigeminal nerve is a mixed nerve. So motor function is justified by the SVE, is efferent supplying the muscle of mastication. And then we have the huge GSA column. There was this big GSA column was also there. Mesencephalic, principal sensory, and spinal nucleus. All of them have something to do with the trigeminal nerve, because the trigeminal nerve will take all the sensation ultimately to that. So GSA because getting all the general sensation from face. So broadly, these two columns, SVE and GSA for the trigeminal nerve. Because it is a mixed nerve having three components, ophthalmic, maxillary, mandibular. In this mixed component, in this mixed nerve, guys, ophthalmic nerve is purely sensory. This is called as purely sensory nerve. Maxillary nerve is also considered as sensory, but the mandibular nerve, which is the largest component of this nerve, is mixed. Ophthalmic is sensory, maxillary is sensory, but mandibular is a mixed nerve. So what we're going to do is, we will discuss the ophthalmic nerve and maxillary nerve together. We'll talk about the ophthalmic and the maxillary nerve together, and then separately we'll talk about the mandibular nerve. It's a very, very important nerve, mandibular nerve. Usually not given that much of importance in front of facial nerve, but when you look at the number of questions, there are more variety of questions which are extracted from the mandibular nerve. So let's focus on this part here. First, let's talk about the ophthalmic and maxillary, and then we'll go into the mandibular. I would request you to start very much from the left side of the page. There's this ganglion called the trigeminal ganglion. We all know about it. There's a ganglion. This is a trigeminal ganglion having three parts, So this is the trigeminal ganglion, the sensory ganglion, of course. And this trigeminal ganglion is present in the part of the petrous temporal bone, in the area of the petrous temporal bone, and that is called as a Meckel's cave. This depression in the petrous part of temporal bone and covered with the dura mater, we call it the Meckel's cave. Meckel's cave. Right. So this is where the entire story will begin. That's the trigeminal ganglion, and you can see the three nerve coming out of it. Obviously, three sensory nerves are coming out of it. So if I say ophthalmic nerve, obviously, guys, ophthalmic nerve will come out from here, maxillary will come out from here, and sensory part of mandibular nerve will come out from here. Motor part will come out separately. Motor part has nothing to do with this ganglion. That is a motor. This is a sensory ganglion. So it is having ophthalmic nerve, maxillary nerve, and sensory part of mandibular nerve. Motor part of mandibular nerve will come out separately. So as I said, we'll be using this diagram only for the ophthalmic and maxillary. Again, ophthalmic nerve goes into the orbit using the superior orbital fissure. So I draw the superior orbital fissure slightly here above. And maxillary nerve ultimately goes into the maxilla. So let's say this here is a maxilla bone with maxillary air sinus inside. I'm not drawing the maxillary teeth, let's keep it simple. This is the maxilla with maxillary sinus. Let's not even label it, guys. This is superior orbital fissure. And here we have maxilla with the maxillary teeth will be there. Let's take one more. Ophthalmic nerve, the first ophthalmic nerve. Again, ophthalmic nerve is having a relation with the cavernous sinus. Till now, we have discussed two nerves in the lateral wall of cavernous sinus. That was third nerve and fourth nerve, which was there. Sixth nerve was inside. Even ophthalmic nerve is seen present in the lateral wall. Maxillary nerve, in the previous edition, they used to say maxillary nerve is also in the lateral wall of cavernous sinus, but the latest edition of Grace has denied that. Now, if you look at the micro dissection of the cavernous sinus, it is believed that it is not in the lateral wall. So I'll only go with ophthalmic, guys. Ophthalmic nerve goes toward the superior orbital fissure by, again, passing through the lateral wall of cavernous sinus. Once again, it is passing from the lateral wall of cavernous. I'm just writing CS for cavernous sinus and it's a lateral wall. Ophthalmic nerve, before entering into the superior orbital fissure, it divides into three branches. One is called as the frontal nerve. There is a nasociliary nerve, and the third one supplying the lacrimal gland, that is the lacrimal nerve. So we got three branches of ophthalmic nerve. Let me just write V1 here, that is ophthalmic nerve. Dividing into three branches before entering into the fissure, we got frontal. This here is a frontal nerve. Nasociliary. Lacrimal. Well, not exactly in that sequence. I'm drawing the sequence just so that there are certain connections which I have to show, and that will be easy to show in this way. Frontal is obviously the highest, but nasociliary, lacrimal are not in that sequence. They're in the reverse sequence. But you just need to know name. So frontal, nasociliary, lacrimal. And see that the name is telling a lot about them, because when you say frontal nerve, we call it frontal nerve because ultimately it will come in the front, and this is going to supply the skin of the forehead and the scalp. So this frontal nerve, once it exits the orbit, this will divide into two branches, and those two branches are called as supratrochlear and supraorbital. Supratrochlear nerve, and one is the supraorbital. Supratrochlear and supraorbital. I'm going to show you a picture of this trigeminal nerve once we're done with these connections. So names here, supratrochlear and supraorbital will come out from here, supply the skin of the forehead and the scalp all the way to the vertex, till here. Nasociliary. Now there are two words to look into, guys. One is naso and one is ciliary. Naso and ciliary. Ciliary words remind me that it is topographically connected to what ganglion? To the ciliary ganglion. Writing CG here. It is topographically connected to ciliary ganglion. Let me remind you, we said that all ganglions are topographically connected to trigeminal nerve. Here's the first one. Topographic connection. So basically the nerve goes in and comes out, that's the way it is. Ciliary ganglion is topographically to nasociliary nerve, and the naso word here is justifying what? Because this nerve also has to supply nasal sinuses. So the two branches, the two major branches that you see for nasociliary nerve is anterior ethmoidal and posterior ethmoidal. Anterior ethmoidal and posterior ethmoidal. These are the two branches of the nasal, the two major branches of the nasociliary. So I hope the names are being justified here. When you say frontal nerve coming in the front, the supratrochlear, supraorbital, nasociliary, ciliary is for the ciliary ganglion, and naso word is for the nasal sinuses. Anterior, posterior, ethmoidal nerve must be supplying ethmoidal sinuses. And finally, the lacrimal nerve, of course, it is going to supply the lacrimal gland. The lacrimal nerve will supply the lacrimal gland. So these are three branches of the ophthalmic nerve that you should know about, given off before supraorbital fissure, and that's how they're reaching their destination. What about maxillary? As I said, I'm going to show you a comparative picture in a minute. What about maxillary nerve? Now, maxillary nerve, first of all, it again has to come out from the same trigeminal ganglion, but the maxillary nerve needs to leave the cranial cavity. How will it come out of the cranial cavity? And that is through a foramen called as foramen rotundum. I hope you all heard of that, foramen rotundum. So let's say this here is a foramen, which I'm talking about. This is called as the foramen rotundum. The foramen rotundum. So the maxillary nerve will be coming out of the foramen rotundum in the pterygopalatine fossa, which I'm going to show it to you, and then it will be seen running in the roof of the maxilla. Either you say roof of maxilla or you can say floor of orbit. It's the same thing only, and ultimately comes out from the opening here below the orbit like this. So guys, this is what now? This is the maxillary nerve. I'm writing V2, that is maxillary nerve, coming out of foramen rotundum into this region. There's an area which I'll show it to you called as the pterygopalatine fossa. Well, the name suggests you if it is the pterygopalatine fossa, it must be connected topographically to the pterygopalatine ganglion. That's the second one. So we ciliary ganglion, and now we're looking at pterygopalatine ganglion, also topographically connected to trigeminal nerve. That is to nasociliary, and this one is directly to the maxillary nerve. What is important here, guys? We call it maxillary nerve all the way till here, till this point. But as soon as it runs in the floor of the orbit, everything above is orbit only. So when the nerve is running in the floor of the orbit, the name of the nerve changes to infraorbital nerve. Let me just highlight that part so that there is no confusion here. From here onwards. Now this one, the portion which I've highlighted here, this is all running in the floor of the orbit and then comes out. So this nerve is called as the infraorbital nerve. This is called as the infraorbital nerve. Give it the same color only, infraorbital nerve. And why we need to know about this infraorbital until there it is maxillary? Because they've even asked the question from here. Now ultimately maxillary nerve is going to supply the maxillary sinus, of course, and also the maxillary teeth, the superior alveoli. So we have one branch coming from maxillary like this, and it pierces the body of maxilla and goes inside in this way. And the two branches are given off within the maxillary sinus only. This way. Now look at the difference. First of all, what should be the name of these nerves, guys? All these three nerves are going to supply the superior alveoli. The upper jaw, all superior alveoli. So all of them are superior alveolar nerve. This is superior alveolar nerve, this one is superior alveolar nerve, and this one is also superior alveolar nerve. But based on their location, this one is posterior, this is middle, and this is anterior. So I should say this is posterior superior alveolar, this is middle superior alveolar, and that is anterior superior alveolar nerve. Please take your time and write about it. That's a posterior superior alveolar nerve, middle superior alveolar nerve, anterior superior alveolar nerve. Three superior alveolar, posterior, middle, and anterior. And the question in the exam was asked specifically on the middle superior alveolar. Middle superior alveolar nerve is a branch of. Now, you can say all the three are branches of maxillary nerve. Ultimately, they are all branches of maxillary nerve only. But more specifically, we can say that middle superior alveolar and anterior superior alveolar are the branches of infraorbital. If the question is asked, go with the infraorbital as a more specific answer. Posterior superior alveolar is a direct branch of maxillary. Posterior superior alveolar is a direct branch of maxillary. Middle and anterior are the branches coming from infraorbital. So this is about how exactly the maxillary nerve is running in and the branches going inside, supplying the maxillary sinus as well as the alveoli. Now coming to this one last thing in this nerve before I show you that picture, there is a connection between the maxillary nerve and the ophthalmic nerve also, and that connection is very much needed here. This, from the level of the ganglion, there's a nerve you'll see coming out, and the branch of that nerve will go and join with the lacrimal nerve like this. I'm just using a different color here so that you can clearly demarcate that. Let me put an asterisk sign, guys. This nerve that I've just marked there, which is connecting the maxillary, look at this, it is connecting maxillary to lacrimal. It is connecting maxillary to lacrimal. This is a branch of the maxillary nerve which is called as zygomaticotemporal nerve. We call it zygomaticotemporal nerve. I'm directly going to the name. Actually, there's a zygomatic nerve dividing into two branches. One of them is joining with the lacrimal, so you can skip that kind of detail. It's a zygomaticotemporal nerve which connects with the lacrimal nerve, and you will realize the importance of this nerve if you think about pterygopalatine ganglion. What we said for the parasympathetic ganglion is that the nerve will come inside the parasympathetic ganglion, a functional nerve will come inside the parasympathetic ganglion, relay there, and will end there. So guys, if you think of lacrimal gland, and just go back into the memory lane, we said lacrimal gland is supplied to what nucleus? What was the nucleus for lacrimal gland? It was superior salivatory nucleus. And we also said superior salivatory nucleus, the nerve is what? That's a facial nerve. So what we'll see, that facial nerve branches, some branch of facial nerve will come to the pterygopalatine ganglion, will relay in the pterygopalatine ganglion, and will end there only. So they will not go beyond the ganglion here. Once the facial nerve finishes here in the pterygopalatine ganglion, the post-ganglionic fiber will start from here. And as a rule, post-ganglionic fiber first goes into what topographic nerve? What is topographic nerve here? Maxillary. So post-ganglionic fiber goes into maxillary, then into this connection here, that is zygomaticotemporal, then into the lacrimal nerve, and that's how they're going to reach which gland? Lacrimal gland. And that is the precise reason I was emphasizing that you have to know about trigeminal nerve before we discuss the facial or glossopharyngeal. Because I can only understand facial nerve till here. Because facial nerve comes here, and that's it. It will not go beyond it. Beyond the ganglion, it is going into maxillary, then from the maxillary into zygomaticotemporal, then into the lacrimal, and finally into the lacrimal gland. Let's look at all these whatever nerves that we just discussed here, ophthalmic and maxillary, the two nerve and this connection in a picture. Look at this image. I'll point out all these things, and I want you to say to yourself what exactly are those. Now, what ganglion we are looking at here? That this here is a trigeminal ganglion, of course. And this trigeminal ganglion, as you can see, it is resting on this cave here. Look at this cave, the depression. That is a Meckel's cave. You can see that Meckel's cave over there. The three division, that is ophthalmic. This one is ophthalmic, the maxillary, and of course the one which we still have to discuss, that is mandibular. Ophthalmic nerve. If you look at the three branches, guys, look at the branch of the ophthalmic nerve which is I'm marking right now. This nerve is what? That is a frontal nerve. And you can see the frontal nerve is further going and dividing into two branches. One is supratrochlear and one is supraorbital. Supratrochlear and supraorbital nerve can be seen. The next nerve, I told you the one which we discussed was a schematic diagram. The one that you're looking at here, the second nerve that I'm looking at, if you trace that nerve, that is ultimately going to the lacrimal gland. So that's the lacrimal nerve. Look at that. If you just trace carefully, that is going toward the lacrimal gland. This is the one. And then we have nasociliary to be seen here. So this third nerve, let me mark it here, that is the nasociliary nerve. Frontal lacrimal nasociliary. Nasociliary nerve is topographically connected to this ganglion. Can you see that one? The one which I'm pointing at, that is a ciliary ganglion. And look carefully, the nasociliary nerve is giving off these two branches. One, this is anterior ethmoidal going here, and one is posterior ethmoidal. These are the ethmoidal nerves. These are the ethmoidal nerve. That is anterior ethmoidal nerve and posterior ethmoidal nerve. And just an additional information here, out of the anterior ethmoidal and posterior ethmoidal, this anterior ethmoidal nerve after supplying the dura mater, nasal sinuses, nasal mucosa, this even comes out. This anterior ethmoidal nerve, after going into the dura mater, supplying the dura mater of anterior cranial fossa, the nasal mucosa and the sinuses, it comes out and supplies the tip of the nose. Can you see a nerve on the tip of the nose here? That nerve on the tip of the nose is called as the external nasal nerve. This is called as the external nasal nerve, which ultimately is a continuation of which nerve only? Anterior ethmoidal nerve only. You can just note it down in your notes only, that anterior ethmoidal nerve ultimately comes out as an external nasal nerve and supplies the skin at the tip of the nose. It supplies the skin here at the tip of the nose. If you look at the second part, the maxillary nerve, I hope you can appreciate that maxillary nerve is coming out of this foramen here, and that is what foramen rotundum. That's a foramen rotundum. Once it comes out of the foramen rotundum, it comes into this fossa here called as the pterygopalatine fossa, and clearly there is a ganglion present over there which is called the pterygopalatine ganglion. That is PPG, pterygopalatine ganglion. After that, if you look at the course of this maxillary nerve, it is running in the floor of the orbit, the one which is highlighted here. So we've got three branches to be seen here. One is the posterior superior alveolar, I'm writing P over there. This is middle superior alveolar, and this here is the anterior superior alveolar. So you can see the three in here. The posterior coming directly from maxillary, middle and anterior, do we believe they are coming from the infraorbital. And very lastly, the one connection, if you just go back to your diagram and see, the connection was between the maxillary nerve and lacrimal nerve. Just let me point out with a different color here. Look at this connection which is coming from the maxillary nerve here, and ultimately via some branches, it is going there and joining with the lacrimal nerve. That is the zygomaticotemporal nerve. I told you earlier also that it's actually a zygomatic nerve which gives off two branches and one of them is connecting. So we can skip all those details. Remember that zygomaticotemporal is having a connection with the lacrimal. So that's how ophthalmic and maxillary nerve will look into the picture. With these two nerve sites, we have also discussed two parasympathetic ganglions topographically. Which two? A ciliary ganglion and a pterygopalatine ganglion. And before I move on to the next nerve, I will tell you a little about both these ganglions. Well, nobody is going to ask you the relation of pterygopalatine ganglion because the name itself says it is in the pterygopalatine fossa. Pterygopalatine ganglion, pterygopalatine fossa. But ciliary ganglion, the question can be asked, what is the location of ciliary ganglion within the orbit? Where it is present in the orbit? It is present between the two major structures, that is optic nerve and lateral rectus. If I just talk about the relation of ciliary ganglion, if you look at the orbit of one side, let's say this is the transverse section through the orbit. Here is the eyeball. It's a transverse section through the orbit. Let's say this is the eyeball here. That's the optic nerve. And let's say this here is the lateral rectus muscle. Lateral rectus, optic nerve. So ciliary ganglion is situated between these two structures, close to the apex of the orbit here. This is where the ciliary ganglion is situated. So that again could be a separate question here. The location of ciliary ganglion is in the orbit, but where? First of all, it is close to the apex. That's the base part. That's the apex part, close to the apex, and it is sandwiched between the optic nerve and the lateral rectus muscle. It is sandwiched between optic nerve and lateral rectus. So guys, moving on to the third, the part of the trigeminal nerve, and definitely the most important, the mandibular nerve, the mixed one, which is having a sensory component as well as motor component. And I've already told you earlier that the number of questions asked from the mandibular nerve, there's a huge variety of questions which can be formulated from the mandibular nerve itself. So if you're taking down the notes, I suggest you to start from the top of the page because we've got to go to a lot of branches in the lower part. So mandibular nerve being a mixed nerve, as we said, we have two components. There is one sensory component. So I'm just writing sensory root, R is for the root here, and let's say there's a motor root. Sensory root and motor root. And both sensory and motor root, they will unite with each other. The sensory and motor root, they will unite with each other exactly at the level of the foramen, that is foramen ovale. You all know this mnemonic, foramen ovale for male. This is foramen ovale. So there are four structures passing from foramen ovale, male, M-A-L-E. M is what? Mandibular nerve. What is A-L-E? We'll discuss that subsequently. So sensory root and motor root of mandibular nerve, they unite with each other at the level of foramen ovale. We generally say that mandibular nerve, it comes out of the foramen ovale, correct? But more precisely, the sensory and the motor division of the sensory and motor root of the mandibular nerve, they unite exactly at the level of foramen ovale only. And once they unite, they give rise to the trunk of the mandibular nerve. Now this here is the trunk. And this trunk will be further divided into anterior and posterior divisions having many branches. But guys, the trunk is the part which we need to pay attention to because there are four important information here and all four are potential questions. In fact, they've already been asked. And let's go for the information in a sequence. As soon as the nerve comes out, as soon as the mandibular nerve comes out, it immediately gives off a branch which goes back into the cranial cavity. It goes back into the cranial cavity from the foramen which is just behind foramen ovale, and that foramen is called as the foramen spinosum. That foramen is called as the foramen spinosum, and that's why the nerve is also called as the nervus spinosus. This is called as the nervus spinosus. It goes from foramen spinosum and we call it nervus spinosus. There's a different name given to it, guys. Either you call it nervus spinosus or you can also call it the recurrent branch of mandibular nerve. It is coming back, so we can also call it the recurrent branch of mandibular nerve. Now I want you to think about it. If any nerve, not only nervus spinosus, for that matter, any nerve, if it is going back into cranial cavity or just going into cranial cavity, what will it do there? The purpose of the nerve to go into the cranial cavity is to supply the dura mater, meningeal branches. So that means nervus spinosus is also supplying the dura mater. And for that matter, you should know that nervus spinosus is the major nerve supplying the dura mater. When you look at the dural supply in the cranial cavity, we'll discuss in the upcoming topics, you will see the maximum area of the dura mater is supplied by nervus nervus spinosus. Nervus spinosus being the major branch of the dura mater, what is the major artery supplying the dura mater? That is middle meningeal artery. And that middle meningeal artery is also going from the same foramen only. This is middle meningeal artery, also be seen coming out of the foramen spinosum. See, there's a difference of asking the same kind of question, but it depends upon which exam we're talking about. Like if it's a neat kind of paper, they might ask you, okay, what are the contents of foramen spinosum? So simply you'll say contents are middle meningeal artery and nervus spinosus. Okay, no problem. But in the exams like INSET, they might just try to complicate the language of question. They'll ask you that the major neurovascular bundle to the dura mater passes through which foramen of the skull? Major neurovascular bundle. Major neuro. What is major nerve? Nervus spinosus. What is major artery? Middle meningeal artery. What is the foramen? Foramen spinosum. So it's an exact same question, but just the way of asking the question is a bit different here. So that's the first important information about the trunk of mandibular nerve, that it gives off the nervus spinosus, which goes back to the foramen spinosum. Second important thing, the trunk of the mandibular nerve is topographically connected. It is topographically connected to the otic ganglion. It is topographically connected to the otic ganglion. Topographically. You know, the trigeminal nerve is all topographically connected. And the reason I drew it in such a way, because the ganglion is medial to the nerve. If you see it from the outside here, the ganglion is on the inner aspect. So it's not easy to visualize this ganglion from the outside. You can't even recognize there's a ganglion there. So the nerve is quite thick actually, we're just drawing it schematically. So ganglion is kind of hidden to the medial side of the nerve, the otic ganglion. Then, third important thing, the trunk of the mandibular nerve, it supplies one muscle of mastication. Out of the four muscles of mastication, only one muscle of mastication is supplied by the trunk. That's why it is important. Muscles of mastication are supplied by mandibular nerve, everyone knows that. But which muscle of mastication is supplied by the trunk? And that is medial pterygoid. It's a very, very important question. Medial pterygoid muscle is the only muscle of mastication, supplied by the trunk of mandibular nerve. How many information till now? Three. Nervus spinosus, connected to otic ganglion, and it supplies one muscle of mastication, that is medial pterygoid. Now coming to the fourth and the last important information about the trunk, the same nerve which supplies medial pterygoid, also supplies two tensor muscles in head and neck. And I hope you know the two muscles with the name tensor. One is tensor veli palatini and tensor tympani. The tensor veli palatini and tensor tympani, the two muscles which is having a tensor name, tensor veli palatini and tensor tympani, both are supplied by what nerve? Nerve to medial pterygoid. They will ask you this question very precisely. The TVP and TT are supplied by which nerve? That is supplied by the nerve to medial pterygoid, which is coming from the trunk of mandibular nerve. So guys, please by heart these four important information, because all of them have already been asked as a question in different exams here. Nervus spinosus, major nerve of the dura mater, goes through foramen spinosum, topographically connected to otic ganglion. That's an AIMS question about the relation. We'll discuss in more detail. One muscle of mastication, that's a Chipmunk question, supplying medial pterygoid. That's the only muscle of mastication by the trunk. And tensor veli palatini and tympani are supplied by the same nerve supplying medial pterygoid. Now, after doing all this, the mandibular nerve is going to divide into anterior and posterior division. There are two divisions here. Let's say this is the anterior division, and there will be posterior division. We can extend this further later. Now, AD and PD, I'm just writing AD and PD, that is anterior and posterior division. What anterior division will do? The anterior division will take care of all remaining muscles of mastication. One, it is done. Medial pterygoid is done. So, anterior division will supply the remaining muscle of mastication, that is lateral pterygoid, temporalis, as well as masseter. So, it is going to supply the lateral pterygoid muscle. It is going to supply the masseter. And it is also going to supply the temporalis, the remaining three muscles of mastication. They are all supplied by anterior division. So that means the anterior division is predominantly motor division, because obviously supplying the muscle means motor branch. This is a motor branch here. This one is a motor branch here, and this obviously is also a motor branch. But there is one sensory branch also coming from anterior division, and that probably is the most important to remember. That is buccal nerve. Buccal nerve. It is to be noted that buccal nerve is the only sensory branch from the anterior division. I'm not saying it is the only sensory branch of mandibular. It is the only sensory branch from the anterior division. And why this buccal nerve is very favorite to the examiner? Because when you look at the word buccal, buccal reminds us of cheek. The speciality of this nerve is this buccal nerve is going to supply the cheek, but it supplies the skin and mucosa of the cheek. Now, if a nerve has to supply the skin of the cheek as well as the mucosa of the cheek, then obviously it has to pierce a muscle in between. So that means the buccal nerve must be piercing the buccinator muscle. As per law and anatomy, a nerve piercing a muscle also supplies it. But this is a sensory nerve. It doesn't supply. It's an exception. So this is an exception that buccal nerve, it's a sensory nerve, though it is piercing the buccinator muscle to go inside and supply the mucosa, but still it doesn't supply buccinator muscle. I should write this information, make sure to write just below it only, because we still have to mark other nerves on the side. So buccal nerve, it supplies skin and mucosa. It supplies skin and mucosa of cheek. Skin and mucosa of cheek. It pierces buccinator. It does. It pierces buccinator muscle, but doesn't supply it. Guys, buccinator is a muscle of facial expression. The buccinator is a muscle of facial expression, so it should be supplied by the facial nerve. So we have another nerve called as the buccal branch of facial nerve. I hope you know the 5 branches of facial nerve coming out. One of the branch of facial nerve is the buccal nerve only. So that buccal branch of facial nerve is the one which supplies buccinator, not the buccal branch of mandibular nerve. It's a very, very important question. And then when you solve previous year questions, you will see that many times they kind of try to manipulate the options based on this information. So buccal branch coming from anterior division is a sensory nerve. Yes, it supplies skin. Yes, it supplies mucosa. Yes, it also pierces buccinator, but no supply to buccinator. Now coming to posterior division, guys, what about the posterior division? There are 3 branches coming from posterior division, and once again, all 3 are like important information we have about them, and they're very, very important. They do have they were asked in the previous exams, like auriculotemporal nerve especially was asked very recently. So 3 nerves, we can remember it with the mnemonic ALI, A-L-I, ALI. A. The first nerve I'm talking about here, that is starting with the alphabet A, is called as auriculotemporal nerve. That is called as auriculotemporal nerve. I'll take all these nerves one by one. Auriculotemporal nerve. When you write the word auriculotemporal, I want you to think about auricle and temple. Auriculotemporal. So that means the nerve when it goes posteriorly, it is supplying upper 2/3 of the auricle. It is supplying the upper 2/3 of auricle. the skin of the temple, auricle and temple. And think what else is there in this region, guys? If I put my hand on the auricle and temple region, what else is there? What gland we have here? The parotid gland. So it must be supplying the parotid gland. What joint is present here? The TMJ, the temporomandibular joint also. So whatever comes in this part here, it is all taken care of by the auriculotemporal nerve. So as I said, it supplies what? It supplies the skin. It supplies the skin of temple and upper two-third of auricle. Upper two-third of auricle. That too only on the outside, not on the inner aspect. Skin of the temple and auricle. Upper two-third of auricle. It supplies TMJ, it supplies temporomandibular joint, and it also supplies the parotid gland. It also supplies the parotid gland. Let me just give them a common highlighter. This is the auriculotemporal nerve. It supplies the skin, it supplies TMJ, it supplies parotid gland. And I want you to take your attention once again to the parotid gland. Though we have not discussed the glossopharyngeal nerve, we haven't discussed the parotid gland, but still, because of the concept that we're building, we still can understand the innervation to the parotid gland from here only. If you remember what nuclei, let me take you again back, guys. What nuclei was there for the parotid gland? Was it superior salivatory or inferior salivatory? That was the inferior salivatory nucleus for the parotid gland. What was the nerve for the inferior salivatory nucleus? It was glossopharyngeal nerve. So from the inferior salivatory nucleus, glossopharyngeal nerve will come out to supply the parotid gland. What do you see eventually? A branch of glossopharyngeal nerve will be coming out from the foramen ovale only. We'll see that. What nerve is that? And whatever branch of glossopharyngeal nerve is there, come out of the foramen ovale, and just below the foramen ovale, it will find otic ganglion. And that's how the glossopharyngeal nerve will reach the otic ganglion. And as per law, we said that parasympathetic nerve will reach the ganglion, relay there, and their job is done. Once the glossopharyngeal nerve relays here in the otic ganglion, then post-ganglionic fibers will start from this nerve, from the trunk of the mandibular nerve. They will go through the posterior division in the auriculotemporal and going to supply what gland? The parotid gland. That's how glossopharyngeal nerve, without reaching the parotid gland, is still able to supply it with the help of a topographic nerve. So that's about the first part, that is auriculotemporal nerve. We'll again discuss this course when we talk about the glossopharyngeal nerve. The second branch, Ali, L is for the lingual nerve. L stands for the lingual nerve. Lingual nerve. Lingual nerve, first of all, it is topographically connected to the last ganglion. We've done with 3 already. Ciliary done, pterygopalatine done, otic done. What is the last one? Submandibular ganglion. It is topographically connected to the submandibular ganglion. And what lingual nerve will do? Lingual nerve is responsible for carrying the general sensation, not taste, general sensation from anterior two-third of tongue. General sensation from anterior two-third of tongue. It carries the general sensation from the anterior two-third of tongue. That's the lingual nerve, the second one. Third and the last, Ali, A-L-I. I is for inferior alveolar, guys. We saw the nerve which are going into the maxilla were called as superior alveolar. So obviously inferior alveolar nerve is the one which goes inside the mandible. Now if I just below here I draw the mandible in that line only. Let's say this, here's the mandible. Now there's a foramen which is present in the mandible which is called as the mandibular foramen. From there we have a canal starting called as the mandibular canal, and ultimately that mandibular canal running through the body of the mandible, it opens into a foramen called as mental foramen here. You all know that. It starts as mandibular foramen there, it runs as mandibular canal, and then it comes out as a mental foramen, that is a mental foramen. So third nerve we are talking about here is what? Inferior alveolar nerve. Now what the nerve will do? This inferior alveolar nerve goes inside, runs in this mandibular canal, and ultimately comes out as what now? As a mental nerve. So first let me write the name. This is the inferior alveolar nerve. This is the inferior alveolar nerve. Obviously we call it inferior alveolar because it is giving off many branches to the alveoli here, supplying all these gums and teeth of the lower jaw. So that's why inferior alveolar. And it ultimately comes out as the mental nerve. Please make sure, remember guys, mental nerve is a sensory nerve. It is not going to supply mentalis muscle. That is the muscle of facial expression. It is just a sensory nerve supplying the skin of the chin. No harm in writing that. Mental nerve is sensory nerve. It just supplies the skin of chin. It supplies the skin of the chin region. Mental nerve. Inferior alveolar nerve justified. It goes inside the mandibular canal and it comes out as mental nerve. Then comes out and supplies the skin of the chin. Now a last information here. That the nerve, inferior alveolar nerve, before it goes inside the mandible, look at that point. This is the point where it enters inside. Before the inferior alveolar nerve enters inside the mandible, it gives off a branch which comes down like this below the mandible and supply two muscles which are forming the floor of the mouth. The muscle which are forming the oral diaphragm. What are those muscles? We got a muscle called as mylohyoid, and it also supplies the anterior belly of digastric. Another very, very important muscle to be remembered: mylohyoid and anterior belly of digastric. The nerve is called as nerve to mylohyoid. This nerve which is coming out here, we can simply call as nerve to mylohyoid. So this nerve to mylohyoid, it supplies mylohyoid, but not only mylohyoid, it is also supplying a muscle overlapping mylohyoid called as anterior belly of digastric. Supplies the anterior belly of digastric. And why these muscles are important, guys? See, muscles of mastication supplied by mandibular nerve, it's a very general information. Everyone knows that muscle of mastication is by the mandibular nerve. The only muscle of mastication which you need to keep an eye on is the medial pterygoid because it was supplied by the trunk. But apart from muscle of mastication, what other muscles are supplied by the mandibular nerve? And there are 4. Which 4? Tensor veli palatini, tensor tympani, mylohyoid and anterior belly of digastric. So 2 here and 2 muscles there. These are obviously not the muscle of mastication, but still they are supplied by mandibular nerve. And because they are supplied by mandibular nerve, so which pharyngeal arch they are derived from? First pharyngeal arch. So see, that's how they just keep on distorting the question and asking the same information in a different way. Now, if somebody asks you muscle of mastication is derived from which pharyngeal arch, it's easy to tell. First pharyngeal arch because mandibular nerve. But if somebody say mylohyoid is derived from which pharyngeal arch, then you start thinking. Then you think about the nerve supply. Mylohyoid, belly of digastric anterior, tensor veli and tensor tympani. They're all supplied by mandibular nerve. So ultimately they are the muscles of the first pharyngeal arch. They are the muscles of first pharyngeal arch. So a little information which I want to give you here before we go further. First of all, we need to know about the relation of otic ganglion before we finish off this topic. Relations of otic ganglion and a special feature of auriculotemporal nerve. Auriculotemporal nerve is going backwards. See, this is a schematic diagram. I have to just put it in a way that you can easily decipher the information. Auriculotemporal nerve, where it goes backward, it finds middle meningeal artery. The same middle meningeal artery I do it on that side here. So posterior division, if I consider it on that side. So this is a kind of information which is needed for an image-based question. So guys, if this is foramen ovale, if this one is a foramen ovale, and here was a foramen spinosum, And let's say this is a mandibular nerve coming out from here, and then we have a division, the anterior posterior division. This time, just for the sake of convenience, let's say I'm saying this is posterior division. Just I'm reversing it for the convenience sake, and this is anterior division. So both the posterior division, and we saw foramen spinosum was giving passage to what artery? To the middle meningeal artery. Now this is middle meningeal artery, and nervus spinous is also there. Auriculotemporal nerve. Now auriculotemporal nerve is having a speciality. When it starts from posterior division, the auriculotemporal nerve goes backward and it makes a loop around the middle meningeal artery like this, and then goes and supplies the respective structures. The auriculotemporal nerve coming from posterior division, and that's the feature you see that when you go close to the middle meningeal artery, it loops around the middle meningeal artery. So fibers will, like the fibers of auriculotemporal nerve will spread, will enclose the middle meningeal artery inside, and then it will again go posteriorly to supply the auricle and skin of the temple and everything supplied by the nerve. So that's an important feature. It's an important feature for the image-based question. If they give you a picture of the infratemporal fossa and you have to identify the middle meningeal artery or auriculotemporal nerve, this relation will help you a lot. Artery, which is looped by the auriculotemporal nerve. And finally, about the OT ganglion. Just like we discussed the relation of the ciliary ganglion, we need to know a little about the relations of the OT ganglion also. It's a repeat question in names. Relations of the otic ganglion. Well, again for that I have to start from this point where we have foramen ovale, and once again this is foramen spinosum. Now let's say from the foramen ovale, that's the mandibular nerve here. Just make sure draw it slightly thicker this time, just to show the relation. That's a mandibular nerve. And we said otic ganglion is like this, it is medial to the nerve. This here is the mandibular nerve, that's a trunk of mandibular nerve or simply mandibular nerve. And there is the otic ganglion. I'm just highlighting it is present on the medial side of the nerve, right? Some information which you already have, that foramen spinosum, the major structure that you see coming from below and upward, that is middle meningeal artery. If you put that also here, this is middle meningeal artery. Now, ganglion is medial to the nerve. Now, what is medial to the ganglion? What is more medial there inside? We have a muscle there, and that is the tensor veli palatini. The muscle there is tensor veli palatini. This muscle here is the tensor veli palatini muscle. So in a way, if you look, there is something common that you see in the ciliary ganglion and otic ganglion. Ciliary ganglion was present between the optic nerve and lateral rectus, a nerve and a muscle, optic nerve, lateral rectus. Otic ganglion also is present between a nerve and a muscle, What is the nerve? The nerve here is mandibular nerve, and the muscle is tensor veli palatini. The difference, on contrary, these are the kind of information which will help you retain it for longer. If you think of the ciliary ganglion, laterally was the muscle, medially was the nerve. Remember, ciliary ganglion, laterally was lateral rectus and medially was the optic nerve. Here, other way around. Otic ganglion, laterally there is a nerve and medially there is a muscle. On the lateral side of the ganglion there is a nerve, mandibular nerve, and on the medial side there is a muscle, that is tensor veli palatini. And just one information which I cannot show you in a diagram form as of now, just write that anteriorly there is a muscle present, and that is medial pterygoid. Although it's not difficult to remember this muscle because medial pterygoid is the muscle supplied by the trunk. So you can draw the medial pterygoid in front of the trunk here. So looking at this picture, guys, if I just note down these relations for you, the relations of otic ganglion goes lateral to the ganglion. Lateral to the ganglion is the mandibular nerve trunk. We're talking about the relations of ganglion. Medial to the ganglion is a muscle that is tensor veli palatini. Anterior to ganglion is the medial pterygoid muscle. Posterior to the ganglion is the middle meningeal artery. Roof of the ganglion, above the ganglion is what? Foramen ovale. Floor is open, below it is open. So these are the relations. As I said twice, this question is asked in names. Lateral relation mandibular nerve, medial is tensor veli palatini, anterior medial pterygoid, posterior middle meningeal artery, and above in the roof we have foramen ovale. So we still have to talk about the parasympathetic fibers of otic ganglion, but at least we know that what are the relations, topographic relations of the ganglion. So this is about the trigeminal nerve, the three part of trigeminal nerve. We saw the topographic connection of all the ganglion. Ciliary was connected to nasociliary, pterygopalatine was to the maxillary, otic ganglion to the trunk of mandibular, and submandibular ganglion to the lingual nerve. You have to remember these topographic connections, then only we can proceed further in the other nerves which we'll discuss after that. So let's start the discussion with the facial nerve now. Having talked about the parasympathetic ganglion topographic connection, two of the ganglion functional connection is by the facial nerve itself. So that knowledge that we acquired in the trigeminal nerve will be heavily used here. Well, facial nerve, again, another example of a mixed nerve. Here is another example of the mixed nerve. A lot of sensory and variety of sensory and motor function you will see. And facial nerve also remember that this is the nerve with the longest intraosseous course. Longest intraosseous. Longest intracranial was 4th, longest intradural was 6th, and longest intraosseous. What is intraosseous? Osseous, that is bone. So this nerve is having a very, very long course inside the bone. You will see the facial nerve will go into the internal acoustic meatus, then facial nerve will be running in the facial canal along the medial wall of middle ear, then posterior wall of middle ear, then stylomastoid foramen. So it's a lot of bone. So it's running in the bone, inside the canal formed in the bone, and that's why having the longest intraosseous course. Coming to the columns of the facial nerve, now facial nerve is having actually 5 columns, and we have to justify those 5 columns when we will be talking about this facial nerve in detail. Let me tell you what columns are those. The one easy way to remember the columns is that out of all the cranial nerve nuclei columns, except the first column and the last column, the first column was GSE, and the last column is SSA. So if you leave the first and the last column, every other column has something to do with the facial nerve. Like, let's leave the first column, that is GSE, so that's not there. In fact, I'm going to write all the columns for you so that it's easy for you to remember. So we said first is GSE, which is not there, so I'm just putting a cross mark here. What is the next column? The next column is SVE. Well, SVE column is present because it is supplying the muscles derived from pharyngeal arch, that is facial muscles. It's a pharyngeal arch column. The second column, the third column is GVE. GVE column is also there for facial nerve because facial nerve is going to supply submandibular, it will supply sublingual, and it will also supply the lacrimal gland. Via which nucleus? That is a superior salivatory nucleus. So first column is not there, GSA is not there, second is there, third is there. What is the fourth column? There is GVA and SVA. Well, the word GVA here because facial nerve is carrying some general sensation from nasal and lacrimal region. From the mucosa of the nasal and the lacrimal region, there are some general sensation going from there. So GVA, general sensation from the viscera, and undoubtedly special visceral afferent chorda tympani nerve. Branch of facial nerve is chorda tympani, and that is carrying the taste from anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Taste from anterior 2/3 of the tongue via chorda tympani. And finally, GSA column, that huge trigeminal nuclei, the GSA column is also there for two different reasons. One, facial nerve is supplying facial muscles, so it is also getting the proprioception from facial muscle. One reason is that. And there's another reason that a branch of facial nerve called as auricular branch of facial nerve. Auricular branch of facial nerve supplies the skin around external auditory canal. We all know there's a branch of vagus nerve called as Arnold's nerve supplying the skin around the ear, but we also have a branch of facial nerve called as auricular branch of facial which supplies the skin of the auricle. So it is supplying some part of skin of auricle. And once again, last column is what? Last column is SSA, which is also not related to it. So just for your memory's sake, except the first one and the last one. First column is GSE, is not related to facial nerve. Last column is SSA, not related. Every other column has something to do with facial nerve. SVE, GVE, GVA, SVA, and GSA. We still got to justify that how exactly these columns exist. So we'll be seeing how it is supplying the facial muscle, the different glands, carrying the taste, general sensation, and supplying the skin of the auricle also. Now once again, let's lay the foundation. Let's see the plot on which we can discuss the facial nerve. I would again request you to take a full page for this and start it from the top here. Now guys, let's say this here is the pons, and there is medulla oblongata. Here is the internal acoustic meatus. Facial nerve, as soon as it leaves the brainstem, it is going to go into this internal acoustic meatus. Then facial nerve will come down, and it is related to the medial wall and posterior wall of middle ear. So let's say this box here represents the middle ear cavity. This is internal acoustic meatus, guys. I'm writing IAM, that is internal acoustic meatus or internal auditory meatus. This is, let's say, pons. Below we have medulla oblongata, don't have to write the pons over there. And just make sure with some gap below middle ear because we need some space to discuss a lot of branches there. Leave some gap below the middle ear cavity, and here we got the parotid gland. You've seen the terminal branches of the facial nerve will enter the parotid gland and leaves by dividing into 5. So just that's how you need to divide your page. That you're going to look at the part of the brainstem that responds. You're looking at internal acoustic meatus, middle ear cavity, and let's say here this is the parotid gland. Let me take it back to the topmost part here. In the beginning of the facial nerve, we know that facial nerve it winds around the abducens nucleus, and that's what we call as the internal genu. This, let's say, is the 7th nerve, and you see 7th nerve will wind around the 6th nucleus, comes out from pontomedullary junction, and then goes into the internal acoustic meatus along with 8th nerve and labyrinthine artery. Along with 8th nerve and labyrinthine artery, this is the 6th nerve nucleus, that is 7th nerve nucleus. So guys, first thing first, this genu here is present inside the brainstem, and we call it the internal genu. This is the same thing which forms facial colliculus. Facial colliculus is name given to the elevation that you see in the floor of 4th ventricle. Nothing to discuss as of now. This bend here, this bend around the 6th nucleus is called as the internal genu. So it makes an internal genu, and look where it is coming out from. The facial nerve emerges from pontomedullary junction. From the junction of the pons and medulla, the facial nerve comes out, goes into internal acoustic meatus, and once it crosses the internal acoustic meatus, it makes a very sharp bend, comes down, and is seen related to the medial wall of middle ear first, and then descends down on the posterior wall of the middle ear. And finally, it comes out of the foramen in the skull, that is the stylomastoid foramen. So internal genu. First thing was internal genu. Obviously, we call it internal genu because it is inside the brainstem. It is inside. Any genu which is outside the brainstem will be called as external genu. So do we see genu present outside? Yes, we do. We have two genu outside. One is this, which is called as the first external genu, and second genu is this, when the facial nerve turns from the medial wall to the posterior wall. That is called as second genu. The first genu, where the first turn is present, we also have a ganglion present at this region, and that ganglion is called as the geniculate ganglion. This ganglion here is called as the geniculate ganglion. That's a geniculate ganglion. And what genu is that? That is the first genu, external genu, or first we are writing G1 for this, and this here is G2, that is second external genu. Please keep it in mind, these are all external genu, genu 1 and genu 2. At genu 1, we have geniculate ganglion. So genu is just name given to the bend, and within that bend, we have a ganglion also, that is geniculate ganglion. Now keep this in mind, guys, geniculate ganglion is not a parasympathetic ganglion. We have discussed 4 ganglions in head and neck which are parasympathetic: ciliary, pterygopalatine, otic, and submandibular. Obviously, geniculate was not there in the list. So geniculate ganglion is a sensory ganglion present here, and it is not parasympathetic. Just you write it separately somewhere or whatever, because people get a few questions wrong because of this. Geniculate is a sensory ganglion. It is a ganglion for the taste fibers. We'll see that. From the geniculate ganglion, or I should say from the external genu, a nerve will be seen emerging out, and this nerve is called as the greater petrosal nerve. This is called as GP and greater petrosal nerve. Called as the greater petrosal nerve. You have to understand all these petrosal nerves because there are mainly 3 petrosal nerves. We have a greater petrosal nerve, we have a lesser petrosal nerve, and we have a deep petrosal nerve. Because when you look at the questions which are asked on the pterygoid canal tumor and all that, so they will not ask you a question like that, which nerve will be injured, is it greater or deep petrosal nerve? They will ask you what type of fibers are involved. Is it sympathetic, is it presympathetic, parasympathetic, is it preganglionic or postganglionic, something of that sort. So if I ask you this question, guys, greater petrosal nerve is a nerve of what type? Now first of all, it's a branch of facial nerve, of course, so it's a parasympathetic nerve. Facial nerve is a parasympathetic nerve, so it's a parasympathetic nerve. Secondly, is it pre-ganglionic or post-ganglionic? Now this is where people does this mistake. It is not post-ganglionic. Do not compare greater petrosal nerve with geniculate ganglion. Geniculate ganglion is not parasympathetic ganglion. So that means this nerve and this ganglion, when it comes to the secretomotor pathway, has nothing to do with each other. So facial nerve is simply coming out of this genu, and let's say without relaying there, and that's the greater petrosal nerve, which is still waiting for its ganglion to relay inside. We still haven't reached the ganglion. So it is what type of nerve? It's a pre-ganglionic parasympathetic nerve. Just do write it on some separate page or something. When you say greater petrosal nerve, greater petrosal nerve is pre-ganglionic. It's not post-ganglionic, it is pre-ganglionic. Pre-ganglionic parasympathetic. Pre-ganglionic parasympathetic. Okay. Now the other question is, guys, if this is a parasympathetic nerve, how does sympathetic nerve in the human body they reach their destination? If any sympathetic nerve wants to reach a target structure, especially in the head and neck part, then how exactly they reach there? Well, the best way is they make a plexus around the blood vessel, and when the blood vessel will reach a particular organ, those sympathetic nerve will also reach there. I hope you all know that anterior wall of middle ear. Anterior wall of middle ear is called as the carotid wall because it is related to internal carotid artery. So this anterior wall of middle ear, where we have this internal carotid artery present, that's this internal carotid artery present. Now what you'll see, there's a sympathetic plexus which is present around the internal carotid artery, and from the sympathetic plexus, a sympathetic nerve will come and join with the greater petrosal nerve. Well, this is the one called as the deep petrosal nerve. So the second one in the list here, this is the deep petrosal nerve. We got the greater petrosal, and now we're getting a deep petrosal nerve from the plexus around the internal carotid artery. If we just try to analyze it the same way, guys, greater petrosal nerve was pre-ganglionic parasympathetic. This definitely is a sympathetic nerve. It is coming from sympathetic plexus. But the main question is it pre-ganglionic sympathetic or is it a post-ganglionic sympathetic nerve? Now, deep petrosal nerve is coming from the plexus, and plexus is coming from superior cervical ganglion, sympathetic ganglion. That means the nerve is already coming out of the sympathetic chain and then making a plexus. So this is what type of nerve? This is a post-ganglionic sympathetic nerve. That was pre-ganglionic, but this is a post-ganglionic sympathetic nerve. Let me write for this also. So the deep petrosal nerve, it is post-ganglionic sympathetic nerve. Post-ganglionic sympathetic nerve. And this combination of the pre-ganglionic parasympathetic and post-ganglionic sympathetic nerve, these two nerves when they're running together, this is what you call as the nerve to pterygoid canal. They are the one, I'll show the picture for you in a while. They're called as the nerve to pterygoid canal, also called as the Vidian's nerve. That is also called as the Vidian's nerve, nerve to pterygoid canal or Vidian's nerve. The nerve, they join together, it looks like a single nerve is running, although we have a separate fiber inside. So that is called as a nerve to pterygoid canal, because it is running in a canal called as pterygoid canal, so nerve to pterygoid canal or Vidian's nerve. So guys, where is the pterygoid canal? Where? Here it is. Let's say when they join, when they run with each other, this here is the pterygoid canal. Right, so this, let's say, is the pterygoid canal. Okay. Well, both these nerves, one is pre and one is post-ganglionic. When they leave the pterygoid canal, they will reach the region where we have the same guys, pterygopalatine fossa. Remember the pterygopalatine fossa which we discussed in the maxillary nerve also? And I hope you remember pterygopalatine fossa to the maxillary nerve, it was pterygopalatine ganglion which was hanging. So out of the greater and deep petrosal nerve, the one which has to relay in a parasympathetic ganglion obviously is a greater petrosal nerve. So we have this ganglion that is a pterygopalatine ganglion. I'm writing PPG, that is pterygopalatine ganglion. Just give it a highlighter. So guys, greater petrosal nerve is the one which will end its journey by coming and relaying inside here. And if you just go back and think about what we discussed, that from the pterygopalatine ganglion, post-ganglionic fiber will first go into maxillary nerve, then from maxillary nerve they were going into zygomaticotemporal, and from zygomaticotemporal they go into the lacrimal nerve and ultimately reach what gland? The lacrimal gland. So if I just keep it simple here, so they are finally going to what gland? They are going to supply the lacrimal gland. They are going to supply the lacrimal gland. What about the deep petrosal nerve? Well, deep petrosal nerve is already post-ganglionic. Moreover, it is a sympathetic nerve and this is parasympathetic ganglion, so they have no connection at all. That's why this deep petrosal nerve will continue its journey through the ganglion but has nothing to do inside and will go and supply the region around the lacrimal gland. Okay, this is sorted. Is there anything else greater petrosal nerve is doing? Yes, it is. Greater petrosal nerve, it's not only giving the secretomotor fiber to lacrimal gland, some nasal glands are also supplied. So if I just have to add a little here, that lacrimal gland and some nasal gland. So nasal gland, the nasal secretion is also responsibility of the facial nerve. And one more thing which is done by the greater petrosal nerve is that is the taste sensation from the palate, from the soft palate. When you talk about the tongue, anterior 2/3 of tongue is by facial nerve, we will see that that's a chorotympanoid nerve, that's a different story altogether. There is a portion which is below. Posterior 1/3 of tongue, taste sensation of the tongue is from the glossopharyngeal nerve, different nerve altogether. But when you think of the, we know that taste, we have some taste buds present on the soft palate also. The taste sensation from the soft palate is also done by the greater petrosal nerve only. So greater petrosal nerve is not only a motor nerve, it is not only coming to supply the lacrimal gland, it is not only giving the secretomotor fiber to the lacrimal gland. We have fibers of the taste fibers are also going through this ganglion without relation to the ganglion and they join with the greater petrosal nerve and goes back. So I can add it here only. Taste from soft palate. I could have discussed this in the glossopharyngeal nerve also separately, but if you're talking about here, why not discuss it? I'm just putting some dotted lines only. Guys, the taste sensation coming from the soft palate, they are also going to go through this ganglion without relation to the ganglion and join with the greater petrosal nerve. Let me just write it here. They are going to greater petrosal nerve. They are going to greater petrosal nerve. So that you remember, the greater petrosal nerve is also having the taste coming from soft palate. Before we go any further, I want you to understand this entire network here. So what you saw, the greater and deep petrosal nerve, they join together, form a nerve called as nerve to pterygoid canal. After the nerve to pterygoid canal, there comes a pterygopalatine ganglion, which you already discussed. It was connected to maxillary nerve. So post-ganglionic fibers are reaching the lacrimal gland through that maxillary nerve and all, and reaching ultimately lacrimal gland, also to the nasal gland. Deep petrosal nerve has nothing to do with the ganglion, it simply goes through the ganglion and continues goes further. Whereas a taste from the soft palate, sensory fibers are going in through this ganglion. And look at this, they go through this ganglion. This ganglion has nothing to do with the taste, they just have to pass through it. Will go So where exactly where is the ganglion for the taste? We said the ganglion for the taste is where? In the geniculate ganglion. So ultimately these fibers are going and these fibers cell body is present in the geniculate ganglion. So geniculate ganglion is the one which is having the taste fiber cell body is present. Just to make this topic very solid here, let's do two things. Number one, let's write down the entire secretomotor pathway of lacrimal gland, and let me discuss an image with you to show only this part of the facial nerve, so that then we can go further here. So I request you to first write down the secretomotor pathway of lacrimal gland, the entire pathway. Secretomotor pathway of lacrimal gland. Either you say lacrimal gland or the same pathway is for the nasal gland also. Okay. So I hope you remember how it started, guys. What was the nuclei for the lacrimal gland? It was the superior salivatory nucleus. For the lacrimal gland, it was the superior salivatory nucleus, right? The nerve for the superior salivatory nucleus is the facial nerve. So the secretomotor fiber goes to facial nerve. Which branch of facial nerve we just said? It is greater petrosal nerve. Greater petrosal nerve which goes through the pterygoid canal, and ultimately this greater petrosal nerve relays into what ganglion? Pterygopalatine ganglion, the PPG. So this is the relay point. And relay means the job of facial nerve is over. The relay is done, the job of facial nerve is over. So beyond pterygopalatine ganglion, the fibers will be carried by the topographic nerve, and the topographic nerve has to be the trigeminal. You know, pterygopalatine ganglion was topographically connected to the maxillary nerve. Topographically connected to maxillary nerve. Which branch of maxillary nerve? That is a zygomatic branch, and then we go into more detail. It was zygomaticotemporal nerve. Zygomaticotemporal nerve, which is still a branch of maxillary only. And this zygomaticotemporal nerve, it went and joined with what? It joined with the lacrimal nerve. I hope you remember lacrimal nerve was a branch of ophthalmic, frontal, nasociliary, lacrimal. So it joins with the lacrimal nerve, which is a branch of ophthalmic, and from there it ultimately gives the secretomotor fibers to the gland, to the lacrimal gland. So that's the whole story about the secretomotor pathway of the lacrimal gland. Superior salivatory nucleus, facial nerve, greater petrosal nerve, pterygopalatine ganglion, relay, post-ganglionic fiber run into maxillary, the branch of maxillary which connects with the lacrimal, that is branch of ophthalmic, and finally into lacrimal gland. And you know the secretomotor pathway, it has become a very, very important question in the current scenario, whether it is, they might ask you the question about that which of the following is not related to the pathway. That's a very, very popularly asked question in early days, that they will give 4 options out of any of these boxes, and will ask you that which of the following is not in the pathway of lacrimal gland. So let's say they might give you lesser petrosal nerve here. So you have to choose that which one is the odd option here. Looking at the new pattern, especially INICD is following that kind of pattern, that when they ask you to arrange them in a sequence, like last year only they asked the question in which they gave the auditory pathway components, and you have to arrange the auditory pathway from peripheral to central. So you have to know the entire pathway, you can't mug it up, because they will just give you random 4 options, and you have to arrange them either in the central to peripheral or maybe peripheral to central here. So that's why every single step is important. As I said, just to make you understand this even better, let me show you one picture where you can appreciate greater petrosal and deep petrosal in the atlas, and then we'll finish off the rest of the facial nerve. So I'm going to take you into this image. Look at that. So this is the, you can see there's a pons here and there's a pontomedullary junction. You can see the 7th nerve is coming out from there, from the pontomedullary junction. I hope you can appreciate this geniculate ganglion or the external genu. So there is G1 external genu where you have geniculate ganglion, and this nerve here is the greater petrosal nerve. Look at that. That's a greater petrosal nerve. You can actually appreciate greater petrosal nerve running on the middle cranial fossa. There is a groove on the middle cranial fossa which can be seen. This is internal carotid artery here, and this obviously is a sympathetic nerve which along with the internal carotid artery makes a plexus and then goes in there. That is the deep petrosal nerve. So this is a sympathetic nerve which runs along with the internal carotid artery and gives off this deep petrosal nerve. Now look at this deep petrosal and greater petrosal nerve. At this point they unite, and here is the canal. That's the canal I was talking about. This is the pterygoid canal, guys. The one which I highlighted in yellow. This is the pterygoid canal, and that's the Vidian's nerve over there. So collectively the nerve is called as the Vidian's nerve, or the nerve to pterygoid canal. And you see, as soon as it leaves the pterygoid canal, we reach which fossa? That was the pterygopalatine fossa, where you see pterygopalatine ganglion topographically connected to maxillary nerve. This here is maxillary nerve, and this ganglion here is what? There is a pterygopalatine ganglion. Right? Rest of the branches we cannot see because they are inside, but at least you can make out if it is an image-based question. You can easily identify facial nerve with the genu there. You can see, in fact, you can appreciate the middle ear cavity is running along the posterior side of middle ear in the facial canal. From the genu, first genu or external genu, it gives off the greater petrosal nerve. From the internal carotid artery, it gives off deep petrosal nerve. There is a separate canal for deep petrosal nerve. They both join, and then they run into a common canal called as a pterygoid canal. Let's understand the facial nerve now beyond this, the greater and deep petrosal nerve. So let me take you back to the same image here. Now once the nerve, it runs along the medial wall, guys, over there, running on the medial wall here. This is the same point where we also have the lateral semicircular canal, its impression. Now this is a medial wall of middle, that's a medial wall of middle ear. So inside we have one internal ear, and in the internal ear there are semicircular canal. Lateral semicircular canal will have its impression to be seen here. So there is an impression of the lateral semicircular canal in the relation only. So when it is running, just give it a different color here. This is the point exactly it is related to. The nerve is related to lateral semicircular canal. So when the facial nerve runs on the medial wall, it is in close relation to the lateral semicircular canal. The reason I'm emphasizing so much on this because in ENT they will ask you the question in such a form that the injury to the facial nerve at the level of lateral semicircular canal. In other words, it is an injury to facial nerve on the medial wall. So same thing. As soon as the nerve turns backward and descends downward here, you can see the nerve gives off a branch to the muscle that is a stapedius muscle. So it supplies one muscle in the middle ear cavity, and that is the stapedius. And it also gives off branch in the middle ear, which basically leaves the middle ear without doing anything inside and comes out, and that is chorda tympani. This is very, very important. The chorda tympani. Chorda tympani. One misconception that many of us has is when we think of chorda tympani nerve, the thing that strikes to our mind is sensory. Chorda tympani is sensory. No, chorda tympani is not purely sensory. Chorda tympani is a mixed nerve. Because when we think of chorda tympani, we only think of the taste coming from anterior two-third of tongue. But chorda tympani is the same nerve which is carrying secretomotor fibers to the submandibular and sublingual gland also. So that means it is a motor nerve. It is a mixed nerve. It is having both the function. The problem with chorda tympani is, guys, that chorda tympani nerve in the it is not reaching the tongue. So choroid tympani nerve, what will it do? It will join with some nerve which is reaching the anterior two-third of tongue. And what was that nerve? Have we discussed any nerve today which is reaching the anterior two-third of tongue? That was a lingual nerve, a branch of mandibular nerve which is reaching the anterior two-third of tongue and carrying the general sensation. See, we have some very important concept here. So what I'm saying is, let us say this is the lingual nerve. I'm purposely drawing it very thick so that I can clearly show the fibers inside. And I hope you know that lingual nerve is topographically connected to what ganglion? It is connected to the submandibular ganglion. Guys, let's say this here is the lingual nerve, which is a branch of mandibular. Lingual nerve, branch of mandibular. And of course, the ganglion that you're looking at here is the submandibular ganglion. I'm writing SMG, that is submandibular ganglion. Choroid tympani nerve, it has to do two functions. It has to take the taste from anterior two-third of tongue. And secondly, it also has to supply submandibular sublingual gland. So the best way is the choroid tympani nerve should join the lingual nerve only, because joining lingual nerve will serve two purposes. One, it will provide the pathway to reach the tongue. It will also provide the pathway to reach submandibular ganglion and then to the gland. So that's what is happening. The choroid tympani nerve fibers, they're going like this. They run through this and they go into the submandibular ganglion and they relate. It's a function of it, is relaying there. Post-ganglionic fiber, let's look at this piece. Post-ganglionic fiber which start from submandibular ganglion, they have to supply submandibular gland and sublingual gland. Now submandibular gland is present just below the ganglion only here. It's very close. And sublingual gland are more anteriorly, they are more anteriorly placed. So the fibers which are supplying the submandibular gland will come out from here only. But because sublingual gland is further in front, so the fiber will again take use of lingual nerve, will go further and again come out to supply the sublingual gland. So these are the fibers coming to the submandibular gland, precisely to the submandibular gland. And here are the fibers which are going to the sublingual gland. These are secretomotor fibers. These are the secretomotor fibers which are supplying these glands. So you can see the motor function of the choroid tympani nerve first. So choroid tympani is the one which was carrying the pre-ganglionic, isn't it? It is carrying the pre-ganglionic parasympathetic fiber, and then post-ganglionic are reaching to the respective gland in this way. One function. What was the other thing, guys? Taste. Taste sensation from the tongue is again going through the lingual nerve only and then joining with the choroid tympani. Now the one question which might come to your mind is, yeah, lingual nerve is responsible for general sensation. We said lingual nerve is for general sensation, and now I'm saying that lingual nerve is also carrying taste sensation. Well, true. Both statements are true. Lingual nerve just take the taste from the anterior two-third of tongue and pass it on to the choroid tympani. It's not going to take it all the way above. What I'm saying is, again, I have to use a different color for that. Taste from anterior two-third. Taste from anterior two-third of tongue. Anterior two-third of tongue except circumvallate papillae. Except CVP, I'm writing as it, except circumvallate papillae. Taste from the entire anterior two-third of tongue, but not from circumvallate papillae. Circumvallate papillae developmentally is a part of posterior one-third of tongue. So anterior two-third of tongue, but except circumvallate papillae, the taste fibers will go inside the lingual nerve like this, and they join with the choroid tympani. Look at that. They join with the choroid tympani. I hope this enlarges further. I hope you can clearly see what is happening in. If you think about lingual nerve did its function by taking the general sensation from anterior two-third of tongue. General sensation from anterior two-third of tongue will go through the lingual nerve and go into mandibular nerve. Okay, but when you think of choroid tympani is using lingual nerve. It is using the lingual nerve for its two functions. One, it is giving the secretomotor fibers to the ganglion so that we can supply the glands, and it is also using the lingual nerve to take the taste from anterior two-third of tongue. See why this information becomes so important, because clinically, if they ask this question that there is injury to the choroid tympani nerve in middle ear. Now look at this. If the choroid tympani nerve is injured somewhere in the middle ear, we all know that while putting an incision to the tympanic membrane, the choroid tympani nerve is very, very close to the tympanic membrane and it can be injured. So if choroid tympani is injured in the middle ear cavity, then what is the outcome? What do you see? You will see that there is a loss of taste from anterior two-third of tongue, and there is a loss of secretion from submandibular and sublingual gland. So that will be the feature of choroid tympani, right? But if there is injury to lingual nerve here, look at this above. Before choroid tympani nerve joins it, if the lingual nerve is injured in the upper part, then there is only and only loss of general sensation from anterior two-third of tongue. But unfortunately, if lingual nerve is injured after the fusion, like anywhere here, especially in this part if I talk about, if lingual nerve is injured here after the choroid tympani nerve joins it, then we will have feature of both the nerve injury. That means general sensation will be gone, taste sensation will be gone, secretion of the gland will also be gone. I want to please write down this separately, and let's use some alphabets here to describe it. Let's say this is injury at point 1. Let me give it number 1. This is injury at point 2. That is injury to only lingual nerve. And let's say this is injury at point number 3. That is injury to the lingual nerve, but after choroid tympani joined it. So just give them numbers so that we can write about them separately, guys. The 3 points we want to discuss here: the injury to the choroid tympani alone, injury to lingual nerve alone, injury to this lingual nerve after it joins with the choroid tympani. It's always good to write all these things, because next time you may see the diagram, you probably will not notice this information from there. So here we go, guys. The first, let's go with those numbers. We said 1. So here only choroid tympani nerve is gone, and that will lead to the loss of, obviously ipsilateral, loss of taste from anterior two-third of tongue, loss of taste from anterior two-third of tongue, and loss of salivation from submandibular gland as well as sublingual gland. SMG, submandibular gland and sublingual gland. That is when the injury is at point 1, or it could be in the middle ear also. In the middle ear, I mean only choroid tympani is involved. Number two, I think I've given it to the lingual. Let me just check. Number 2, we've given it to the injury to lingual nerve. Where lingual nerve is injured? Before joining choroid tympani. If the injury is to lingual nerve before it joins choroid tympani, then it will be loss of only general sensation. Loss of general sensation from anterior two-third. Loss of general sensation from anterior two-third of tongue. And number 3, we again there is injury, they will say injury to lingual nerve only because chordae tympani joins it, so we can't appreciate chordae tympani separately. It is in the lingual nerve itself. So they will say injury to lingual nerve in the lower part of infratemporal fossa, lower part. That means after joining chordae tympani. Let me write it a different way. Lower part of infratemporal fossa. Lower part of infratemporal fossa. So if there is injury to the lingual nerve in the lower part of infratemporal fossa, then we have both the features of case 1 and 2 both. We have features of case 1 and 2 both. There will be loss of general as well as taste sensation from anterior two-third tongue, and also will be loss of salivation from submandibular and sublingual gland. So I hope you understood this story about the chordae tympani and lingual nerve, that it is a hitchhiking phenomenon. Hitchhiking. Join with something and that will take you to a destination. Chordae tympani is using the lingual nerve to reach its destination of the ganglion and gland. Coming back to the facial nerve, guys. Now finally the facial nerve, when it comes out of stylomastoid foramen. When it comes out of stylomastoid foramen, we know that facial nerve goes between the superficial and deep part of parotid gland, where it divides into 5 terminal branches. The 5 motor terminal branches. The 5 branches which are represented by 5 fingers here. The one branch which is going toward the temporal region, this is a temporal branch. So we got a temporal branch. Then we got a zygomatic branch. We got a buccal branch. There are many variations which are possible in these branches, like buccal branch is having upper buccal and lower buccal. Upper buccal is above the parotid duct, lower buccal is below the parotid. You're simply saying buccal branch. And this is the same buccal branch of facial nerve which supplies buccinator. Today we discussed the buccal branch of mandibular nerve also, but that was piercing the buccinator, not supplying it. This will go inside buccinator and supply it as well. Then we have a nerve called as the marginal mandibular. We got a marginal mandibular nerve, and finally cervical branch. Cervical branch is important in a way because it goes into the neck and it supplies a very important muscle there, that is the platysma muscle. It supplies platysma muscle. Platysma muscle is forming the roof of all the triangles here. So that's an important muscle which is covering the structures of the neck and giving protection to the superficial vessels, and it is supplied by the cervical branch of facial nerve. Clinically, marginal branch of mandibular nerve and buccal branch is also important. Buccal branch is important when surgeon is dealing with the Stenson's duct, parotid duct. And marginal branch of mandibular nerve is important when a surgeon is dealing with a submandibular gland. So they might ask this question, that if the surgeon is approaching for this surgery, then which nerve you need to be careful about? So buccal nerve in case of the Stenson's duct or parotid duct surgery, marginal mandibular nerve in case of submandibular gland surgery. When you look at when the incision for the submandibular gland is given, it is not given exactly at the margin of mandible because we want to save this nerve. It is given 1 centimeter below the margin of mandible, so that this nerve can be spared. The marginal mandibular branch can be spared. So these are the 5 terminal branches of facial nerve, and I hope you know that facial nerve, which goes in the parotid gland and comes out, it is never piercing the parotid gland. There is a superficial and deep part of parotid gland which is joined to each other by the isthmus, and these branches are coming through this space called as Patay's plane. If you look at the parotid gland in transverse section, just for your understanding, if you look at parotid gland in a transverse section, see that's how it's going to look like. You got a parotid gland which will look in this manner. There is an isthmus like this, and then you have a smaller deep part of parotid gland. So I'm writing this is superficial part, SP I'm writing, and DP is a deep part of the parotid gland, and facial nerve will go through this space in between, and then we have the branches coming, some above the isthmus, some below the isthmus, and they go and divide into all the branches. That's how the facial nerve is going. This plane here, the one which I'm highlighting, this plane which is present between the superficial and deep part of parotid gland, the plane is called as a Patay's plane. This is called as a Patay's faciovenous plane. Faciovenous plane. Why we call it Patay's faciovenous plane? Because it is having facial nerve, number 1 of course, and it is also having the vein. The retromandibular vein is also there inside. Retromandibular vein will also go from this space here. So there is a superficial part, there is a deep part of parotid gland, and in between the two the facial nerve will run. So it's basically not piercing the parotid gland the way it look like. We have a superficial and deep part. The plane in between is called as the Patay's faciovenous plane, allowing the facial nerve to go in. And this is the same Patay's plane which a surgeon used to excise the parotid gland. When the parotidectomy is done, we remove mainly the superficial part of parotid gland along with its duct, and the incision is given more superficial to this plane to save the nerve and the vein. One last thing here, guys, that is the facial nerve also gives a branch. I mean, we usually talk about the branches of facial nerve going forward, dividing into 5 branches. That's the part we usually look at. But there is a branch of facial nerve which goes posterior to the stylomastoid foramen. And this branch here is called as a posterior auricular nerve. This is called as a posterior auricular branch or posterior auricular nerve. Well, of course, first of all, it is going to supply some part of the skin of the auricle. We already said the reason we have it is present in GSA column because some part of the auricle around external auditory canal, some part of the auricle around external auditory canal, some part of the skin around external auditory canal is supplied by the posterior auricular branch. And also, it supplies 4 muscles, and none of those 4 muscles is a muscle of facial expression. That's why they're important, because they are not the muscle of facial expression. So examiner are more bent to ask those kind of muscle. Muscle of facial expression are by these branches. Makes sense. We all know that muscle of facial expression are by facial nerve. But just like mandibular nerve was supplying some muscles which are not the muscle of mastication, same story here. There are some muscles here which are not muscle of facial expression but supplied by facial nerve. Now the nerve goes posterior. It is called as posterior auricular nerve, so it goes like this. So it is going to supply the posterior belly of digastric. Anterior belly is already done. Anterior belly is done. So it is going to supply the posterior belly of digastric. Running with the posterior belly of digastric, there is a muscle called as stylohyoid. It runs along with that. So the first 2 muscles let me write. That is, we have posterior belly of digastric, stylohyoid. In fact, every time you say the word posterior belly of digastric, say stylohyoid along with it, because these 2 muscles are having too many similarities. They have a different origin though, but when they're going toward the insertion, they both go toward the hyoid bone. They're forming the boundary of the same triangle. They have more or less the same relations also, supplied by the same nerve, supplied by the same artery. So there's a lot of similarity between the 2 muscles. More posteriorly, when this auricular branch goes, it supplies some muscle around the ear. You must have seen some people can move their auricle without touching them. So because of the vestigial muscle that we have around the auricle, called as auricular muscles. Auricular muscles. And finally, the nerve goes all the way till here and supply a muscle in this region that is called as occipitalis muscle, a part of fronto occipitalis. We call it occipitalis. The muscle is from where the questions are formulated: posterior pelvic digastric, stylohyoid, auricular muscle, and occipitalis. And once again, if I put this information in the same way I said, mandibular nerve muscles are derived from first pharyngeal arch. Doesn't matter whatever those muscles were. Same here. All the muscle of facial expression, and in fact, even these muscles, which are not the muscle of facial expression, but because they are supplied by facial nerve, so they are also derived from the second pharyngeal arch. Facial nerve is a nerve for second pharyngeal arch. So guys, this overall is the story about the facial nerve. We still have to discuss more clinical here, but that's how the facial nerve is spanning. Goes out of the internal acoustic meatus. We just go through the diagram once again. From the level of geniculate ganglion, it gives a greater petrosal nerve, which is a mixed nerve. Greater, if somebody asks you what is the function of greater petrosal nerve, so you got to say it is supplying lacrimal gland, nasal gland, sublime, and it is also getting the taste sensation from palate, okay, which along with the deep petrosal nerve forms the pterygoid nerve to pterygoid canal. Then facial nerve supplies one muscle in middle ear, that is stapedius. It gives off chorda tympani, which comes out of middle ear cavity, and whatever is done by chorda tympani, it's a mixed nerve again, carrying the taste and also supplying the submandibular sublingual gland. It is all done via which nerve? Via lingual, with the help of lingual nerve. And finally, facial nerve coming out to supply the muscles, mainly on the face and few muscles in the neck posteriorly. Guys, let us talk about the lesion here, upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion of facial nerve before we talk about the different level facial nerve injury. What is the difference between the upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion of facial nerve? Well, let us say this here is a motor cortex of the right side and there is a motor cortex of the left side. So we are looking at the motor cortex. We know that upper motor neuron obviously will start from the motor cortex, from the cerebral cortex to motor cortex. And the upper motor neuron, they are going to come to facial nucleus, which is present in the pons. Let's say these are the, just make sure to draw it slightly bigger so that we can show the fiber inside clearly. That's a facial nucleus. That's a facial nucleus. And let's say this here is the face, which is to be supplied by the branches coming out of the nucleus. Let me just divide this face into two parts. Okay. It's easy to understand this upper and the lower motor neuron lesion difference if we start in a reverse manner. Let's start from lower motor neuron first, and then we'll talk about the upper motor neuron. Obviously, those fibers which will be connecting the motor cortex to the facial nucleus, this will be the upper motor neuron from here to here, and from nucleus to the face, there will be lower motor neuron. Now, the lower motor neuron of the facial nerve, they are seen in two different sets. Like those lower motor neuron which are supplying the lower half of face. Look at this. Now, this is a lower motor neuron starting here and supplying the lower part of face, like below the orbit. Let me draw it here also, supplying the lower half of the face. The question is, upper motor neuron for these fibers will come from where? Upper motor neuron for the lower half of face will come from the same side cortex, opposite cortex, or both sides of the cortex. Well, the answer is it will come only from the contralateral cortex, only from the opposite cortex. Lower half of the face is only by the opposite contralateral side. So when you draw the upper motor neuron for this part, make sure you just stretch it to the opposite cortex, and the same story is here. Right? So lower half of the face is supplied by the contralateral cortex, but that is only for the lower half of face. What about the upper half of face, the forehead muscles? We have a lot of muscle here, corrugator, supracelli, and all that. So all the muscle which are forehead muscle in there, above the orbit muscle. Let's say if this is the lower motor neuron supplying the upper part of face. It's a lower motor neuron but supplying upper part of face. That is a fortunate part of the face. Why? Because this is getting supplied from both the sides. This will get upper motor neuron from ipsilateral cortex as well as from the contralateral cortex. I want to draw it bilaterally. That's why I'm using a different color here. This is receiving fiber from the contralateral as well as ipsilateral cortex. So specifically the one which I do, the one with the blue color here, which are supplying the forehead muscle. The forehead muscle are getting their upper motor neuron, not the lower. Only the upper motor neurons are the one for the upper half of face coming from both side cortex, coming from both sides of the cortex. So guys, obviously this lesion here is upper motor neuron lesion. There is upper motor neuron lesion if the injury is there above the nucleus, and if the injury is to the nucleus or below the nucleus, we usually consider it as lower motor neuron lesion. Now see the difference. What will happen if there's a, let's start with the lower motor first. If there is a lower motor neuron lesion, then obviously all the fibers which are going to the same side of face are gone. It doesn't matter they are coming from which nucleus or which cortex. If the lower motor neuron is cut, it doesn't matter, because lower motor neuron injury lead to the flaccid paralysis, and as I said, the same side or contralateral side fiber, it is only decided above the nucleus. If below the nucleus injury is there, it simply leads to the ipsilateral facial paralysis, and the entire half of the face, from top to bottom, the entire half of the face will be involved in it. Flaccid paralysis of the same side. So lower motor neuron will lead to ipsilateral facial paralysis. Ipsilateral facial paralysis. Or Bell's palsy if it is idiopathic. It's Bell's palsy. Upper motor neuron lesion. In upper motor neuron lesion, it is to be noted the blue fiber which are ultimately going to supply the upper half of the face. Now that is the fortunate part, because upper half is thankfully getting a supply from the contralateral side also. But if you look at the red fibers here, these are the ones which are showing that they are the only motor supply to the contralateral lower half of face. That's why in case of upper motor neuron lesion, let me just use this different color highlighter here. In case of upper motor neuron lesion, there is a contralateral paralysis of lower half of the face. Contralateral and lower half. There is a contralateral paralysis of lower half of face. So that's the difference between the upper motor neuron lesion and the lower motor neuron lesion of the facial. Lower motor neuron lesion obviously due to the flaccid paralysis, that will be the spastic paralysis. In lower motor neuron lesion, there is a ipsilateral flaccid paralysis of the same side, the entire face, including forehead, is gone. And in upper motor neuron lesion, only contralateral face, and that too lower part is involved. The forehead will be spared. So the patient having an upper motor neuron lesion, if you ask them to raise their eyebrows, they can raise both the eyebrows because their forehead muscle is working, the frontalis muscle is working. Now, knowing all this, the function of the facial nerve, the upper and the lower motor neuron lesion and everything, guys, very lastly, let us talk about the four important level of injury to the facial nerve and what will be their outcome. So if once again, for the last time, if I take you back to this picture here, the level of injury, guys, the facial nerve can be injured commonly. I mean, there could be injury to the pterygoid canal tumor can be there could be injury to the chorda tympani, there could be injury to lingual nerve. But if I talk about the main truncofacial nerve, it can usually be injured at 4 points. One is at the stylomastoid foramen, one just above the choroid tympani nerve, one on the medial wall of middle ear, or there could be injury at the external genu or geniculate ganglion. So if I just mark these 4 points here, let's say this is going to be the case A, injury at the level of stylomastoid foramen. Just above choroid tympani, let's say this is going to be the case B. On the medial wall of middle ear, or along the lateral semicircular canal, that is, let's say, case C, and the injury at the level of geniculate ganglion, that is case D. The 4 level of facial injury A, B, C, D have given. Stylomastoid foramen, above choroid tympani, on the medial wall of middle ear, and external genital. Before we just write it down, I want to very quickly go through it. If the injury is at A, let's start from here. It is all lower motor neuron lesion first. Everything is outside the brainstem, so it's all lower motor neuron lesion. If you start from this one, so injury at A means everything above is saved. So injury at A will only lead to what? Flaccid paralysis of the same side. So it's an ipsilateral facial paralysis. If the injury is at B, then paralysis will be there, but choroid tympani is also gone. So that means taste sensation, submandibular gland, sublingual gland are also gone. If the injury is at C, then this time stapedius is also gone, so there will be hyperacusis. And if the injury is at D, now this time along with that, greater petrosal nerve is also gone, so there will be what? There will be additional loss of lacrimation as well as taste from soft palate. So very quickly, let's write about these 4 cases of facial nerve injury. You already marked the level. Case A is that it leads to ipsilateral facial paralysis. That leads to only ipsilateral facial paralysis. Then you got case B. In case B, there are features of case A. I'm just writing A here. A plus what? Plus, because choroid tympani is gone, so there will be loss of taste from anterior 2/3 of tongue, plus loss of salivation from submandibular and sublingual gland. Loss of taste from anterior 2/3 of tongue, loss of salivation from submandibular and sublingual gland. Case C. So now we have all the features of case B. You already know the features of case B. Plus, because stapedius is involved, lead to hyperacusis. And finally, case D. In case D, we got all the features of case C plus loss of lacrimation as well as loss of taste. Loss of taste this time from where? Loss of taste from soft palate. So these are the 4 possible cases of facial nerve injury. So we have talked enough detail about the facial nerve, that different branches, about the detailing, whether they are pre-ganglionic or post-ganglionic, what exactly they are going to supply, how choroid tympani nerve is using the lingual nerve to reach its destination, difference between the upper and the lower motor neuron lesion, what will happen if there is a tumor or injury to the pterygoid canal, what will happen if there is injury to choroid tympani and lingual nerve, and then what would happen if there is a different level injury to the trunk of the facial nerve. Let's begin the vagus nerve here. The vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve. If you think about as such, the vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve. Obviously, the meaning of the word vagus means wandering. So this nerve is going beyond the head and neck part into the thorax and into the abdomen also. बहुत लंबा course, and that's how it is. It is a wandering nerve. It's a very long nerve. It is not advisable. It is not advisable to try to remember everything about the vagus nerve in the beginning only or here itself, because as I said, vagus nerve we have a different part. We talked about a little about the vagus nerve, how it contributes to the cardiac plexus, superior cervical cardiac branch, inferior cervical cardiac branch. Similarly, we will again talk about the vagus nerve when it goes into the abdomen and contributes to the different plexus there. So we will be focusing onto the vagus nerve with respect to head and neck here. With respect to head and neck, vagus nerve, just like glossopharyngeal nerve, will be coming out of the medulla oblongata. So once again, this here is the pons, and there is the medulla oblongata. Vagus nerve will come out of the medulla oblongata again. Vagus nerve will also go out through which foramen? Same, that is the jugular foramen. So there we have it. Let us, this is jugular foramen. Let me write in short. That is jugular foramen. Vagus nerve will also have the 2 ganglion, the superior ganglion and the inferior ganglion. So here is the vagus nerve coming out. The superior ganglion of the vagus nerve is present at the level of the jugular foramen, exactly at the level of jugular foramen, and inferior ganglion is present a little lower. We got 2 ganglion here, the superior and the inferior ganglion. And if I just tell you a little about the superior and the inferior ganglion separately here, guys, we have a superior and the inferior ganglion of vagus. Superior ganglion, inferior ganglion of the vagus nerve. I told you these ganglions, whether it is glossopharyngeal nerve or vagus nerve, these are sensory ganglion. The superior ganglion of the vagus nerve, is basically carrying the cell bodies for those nerves which are GSA, general somatic action. Superior ganglion is for the GSA nerve, the nerve which will be carrying the general somatic sensation, like from the ear, let's say, if I say. Inferior ganglion, on the other hand, inferior ganglion is carrying the sensation from the viscera. That is GVA, SVA. So that will be carrying the sensation from the viscera. So as I said, general somatic afferent, if you remember, the huge trigeminal nuclei was there. And general somatic sensation means the general sensation from the body wall. Like if there is any branch of vagus nerve which is supplying the dura mater, or if there is a branch of vagus nerve which is supplying the skin, anywhere, if it is supplying the skin, the cell body of that nerve is present in the superior cervical canal. The cell body of that nerve is in the superior cervical ganglion, and that's how it is. So what you'll see from the superior cervical ganglion, a branch of the vagus nerve will be seen going back into the cranial cavity, and that is called as the meningeal branch. And this meningeal branch is obviously supplying the dura mater of which fossa? Dura of the posterior cranial fossa. So there is a meningeal branch which will go from the superior ganglion above, and that is going to supply the dura mater of the posterior cranial fossa. There is another branch which will come from the superior ganglion, and this branch which comes from the superior ganglion, how it exactly comes out, again it is coming out between the external auditory canal and mastoid process. There is a fissure called as the tympanomastoid fissure. Not important guys, not important as of now. Again when we reach that part, I'll tell you about this. So this is a branch of vagus nerve which is called as the auricular branch of vagus nerve. So there is a auricular branch of vagus nerve which is basically going to supply the skin of the external auditory canal and the adjoining area. So let us say if this here is the ear, and that is the external auditory canal. So it is going to supply the skin of the external auditory canal and the adjoining area. It is going to supply the skin of external auditory canal or external auditory meatus and adjoining area. This is what the branches which are coming from the superior ganglion will do. The two branches coming from the superior ganglion, we have a meningeal branch which is supplying the dura, it goes back into the cranial cavity, so obviously it will supply the dura mater of posterior cranial fossa, and the auricular branch here on the other hand will supply the skin of the auricle. It will supply some part of the skin of the auricle. In fact, it's a very important clinical anatomy here about the vagus nerve that I will be telling you. Auricular branch of the vagus nerve supplies the skin around the ear. Whenever you go to any ENT doctor, I don't know if you've ever been to any ENT doctor and if you have got done anything in your ear, it is always done in the sitting position. The ENT specialist will make you sit or will make you lie down, and then he will try to do any whatever procedure they have to do in the ear. The reason is because vagus nerve branch is supplying the external auditory canal, and if you try to touch that area with the syringe or you just try to manipulate that area which is supplied by the vagus nerve, a person can get a syncope also. So chakkar bhi aa sakta hai. So that area here is very important because it is supplied by the vagus nerve. It is supplied by the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is actually, it is responsible for all these feelings. We will be able to understand this actually in the neural anatomy, but I'm just telling you that stimulating or kind of irritating the area which is supplied by the vagus nerve can lead to a syncope also, can lead to vomiting also. Vomit also, because vagus nerve is responsible for the gag and vomiting, so that can lead to the gag and vomiting also. And one interesting fact I'll tell you that this auricular branch of vagus nerve is also called as Elderman's nerve. I'll tell you what is Elderman's nerve. This auricular branch, let me just point out here. This auricular branch, iska naam hota hai Elderman. It is also called as the Elderman's nerve, or also called as the Arnold's nerve. Elderman or Arnold's nerve. You know what is this Elderman or Arnold's nerve? Elderman तो basically एक population के नाम पे इनको दिया है. Elderman population, they used to have this competition of eating. कौन ज़्यादा खाएगा? Such weird competition they have like. And what they used to do then, let's say the 4 or 5 men are competing with each other for eating more. They used to keep some ice or some spirit with them. And what they do, that they keep eating and they keep on pouring the ice or spirit on the ear, behind the ear, on this region, which is supplied by the vagus nerve. They don't know the anatomy or the mechanism behind it, but they understood this thing that if you stimulate this area, this region here, then obviously vagus nerve will get stimulated, and vagus nerve increase the gastric mobility also. Gastric mobility increase होगा, obviously you will feel more hungry. Your appetite will increase. And if your appetite will increase, you'll be able to eat more. So that competition, that Elderman population, which we used to have these stupid competitions of eating more, then they used to like keep some spirit or some cold water or icy water with them, and they just keep on pouring that water on the ear, keep eating, keep on pouring that water and keep eating. That will keep on stimulating the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve increase the gastric mobility, increase the appetite. So that is Elderman's nerve or Arnold's nerve. Auricular branch, Elderman's nerve, Arnold's nerve, सब एक ही मतलब है. So this is about the superior ganglion, guys. From the inferior ganglion, now main vagus nerve, obviously the main trunk of vagus nerve will continue downward. We said it is running downward. We saw it is running into the mediastinum also. If you remember, the vagus nerve was running along with the esophagus and passing from the esophageal opening of the diaphragm, and then it will go into the abdomen and become gastric nerve. So if I say this vagus nerve, it will continue. That's a main trunk of vagus nerve. This will continue downward, and this will go into the thorax and into the abdomen. But we need to focus on the part of the vagus nerve which is in the head and neck part. From the inferior cervical ganglion, there is a branch of vagus nerve which comes out, which is called as the pharyngeal branch. Once again, guys, pharyngeal branch is the one which will contribute to what plexus? To the pharyngeal plexus. It will contribute to a plexus called as the pharyngeal plexus. It's a plexus which is present around the middle constrictor muscle. We already saw one contribution to the pharyngeal plexus is coming from the glossopharyngeal. See what exactly pharyngeal plexus is doing. What exact muscles are supplied from them or not? This is a topic to be discussed in the pharynx only. So let's not get into the detail of the pharyngeal plexus. Remember that there is a pharyngeal branch coming from the level of inferior cervical ganglion, and that contributes to pharyngeal plexus. Something common in this nerve and the glossopharyngeal nerve, that this also is going to supply the carotid body and carotid sinus. Vagus nerve and glossopharyngeal nerve, they both supply the carotid body and carotid sinus. So I'm writing CV and CS, carotid body and carotid sinus. This is simply called as the carotid nerve or sinus nerve. Carotid nerve or sinus nerve, whatever you call it. Don't call it nerve of Herring. Nerve of Herring was named given to the branch of glossopharyngeal. This is simply called as the carotid branch or sinus nerve. So you can see there are a few things which are common here. Both glossopharyngeal nerve and vagus nerve, they starting from the middle oblongata. Both glossopharyngeal nerve and vagus nerve, they come out of the jugular foramen. Both these nerves, they supply the carotid body and carotid sinus. So there are a few things which are common, which is done by the glossopharyngeal nerve also, and that is done by the vagus nerve also. Okay, what else, guys? Now comes to the important part here. Vagus nerve, and for that I again have to take you back to the same picture. This one. Let me just make a copy of this image. And this time, it's not about the glossopharyngeal nerve, it is about the vagus nerve. Guys, look at this. This is about the vagus nerve. Let me explain this to you here, and then it will be very easy for you to understand in the schematic diagram. Now let us say there is a vagus nerve which is going down. Let's say that's the main vagus nerve we're talking about. From the level of the inferior ganglion, whatever is discussed is discussed. Now I'm going to the other part here. There is a branch of vagus nerve which will run downward toward all these muscles here. This branch of the vagus nerve is called as superior laryngeal nerve. But look at the name first. So I'll write everything in the schematic diagram. Just understand it here. That is superior laryngeal nerve. Superior laryngeal nerve is going to divide into two branches. One branch of superior laryngeal nerve will basically pierce this thyrohyoid membrane. What was the membrane, guys? That was a thyrohyoid membrane. It is between the thyroid and the hyoid. So it is piercing or going through the thyroid membrane and enter inside. And one branch of superior laryngeal nerve will come down and can supply the only muscle of larynx which is present outside. Not inferior constrictor. I'm not talking about inferior constrictor. You can see a small muscle which is present in front here. This is the muscle. This is one muscle of larynx which is outside. Otherwise, muscles of larynx are inside the larynx. And what is this muscle of larynx called as? This muscle of larynx is called as it is between the cricoid cartilage and thyroid cartilage. So this muscle is called as cricothyroid. This muscle is called as cricothyroid. So cricothyroid is the only muscle of larynx which is supplied by this nerve. So what will name them? This nerve, because it is coming from above, so we call it superior laryngeal nerve. Now it divided into two. One nerve which goes inside is called as internal laryngeal nerve, and the one which is outside is called as external laryngeal nerve. So superior laryngeal nerve will come down and divide into the internal laryngeal and external laryngeal. जिसका नाम external laryngeal है, the only function of external laryngeal nerve is to supply one muscle, and that is cricothyroid, whereas the internal laryngeal nerve is going inside. And why is it going inside? So that it can supply the mucosa of the larynx above the vocal cord. We can divide the entire larynx in two parts, above the vocal cord and below the vocal cord. That is a landmark in the larynx. We will discuss that later. So the interior of the larynx, the inner mucosa of the larynx above the vocal cord is supplied by this internal laryngeal nerve. That's why it is going inside. It supplies the mucosa of the larynx above vocal cord. So overall, what superior laryngeal nerve is doing? The superior laryngeal nerve is overall, it is supplying one muscle. Which muscle? Cricothyroid, by the branch called as external laryngeal nerve, and it is supplying the mucosa of the larynx by the branch called as the internal laryngeal nerve above the vocal cord. अब क्वेश्चन ये है कि क्या बच गया? What is left? What is left in the larynx to be supplied? Well, all other muscles of the larynx except cricothyroid and the mucosa of the larynx below the vocal cord is still to be supplied. We still have to supply the other muscles of the larynx, and we still have to supply the mucosa of the larynx below the vocal cord. Well, that is done by the branch of the vagus nerve which is given off in the root of neck mein, and that branch actually comes back like this, running between the trachea and esophagus in the tracheoesophageal groove, and that nerve is called as the recurrent laryngeal nerve. You heard about this nerve in thorax also, guys. Recurrent laryngeal nerve. There's a different story for both the recurrent laryngeal nerve, but that's called as a recurrent laryngeal nerve. So recurrent laryngeal nerve, obviously, what is there for the recurrent laryngeal nerve to supply? Recurrent laryngeal nerve will supply the all muscles of larynx except which one? Except the cricothyroid, and this will also supply the mucosa of the larynx below the vocal cord. Below the vocal cord. That is why it is like running like this, and it will be running in between. It is running between the trachea and esophagus and will go above. It will run between trachea and esophagus and go above, and that's why after this point, guys, after this point, this can also be called as inferior laryngeal nerve. So this makes sense now. Superior laryngeal nerve ऊपर से आ रहा है. When the recurrent laryngeal nerve actually comes in the upper part, some author call it inferior laryngeal nerve also. The whole nerve is called as recurrent laryngeal nerve, but this portion of the recurrent laryngeal nerve can also be called as the inferior laryngeal nerve because it is coming from below and supplying the mucosa of larynx and the muscles of the larynx except cricothyroid. In the neck, I hope you also remember, there are two branches coming from the vagus nerve which were contributing to the cardiac plexus, guys. That was a superior cervical cardiac branch, and it was an inferior cervical cardiac branch of the vagus. Superior cervical cardiac branch, inferior cervical cardiac branch of vagus are also given off, but they are going and contributing to the cardiac plexus, which we are not going to discuss. I just have to tell you that these branches are also given off in the neck. They're also given off in the neck. Let's come back to the diagram and put it in a diagrammatic way. So we said, we have already discussed this part of the vagus nerve. To understand the rest of the vagus nerve, let's do one thing. Let's draw those things in between. What we have here is, we have hyoid bone. Let us say this is a thyroid cartilage. I'm just drawing it very schematically. That's a thyroid cartilage, and there is a cricoid cartilage. So this is hyoid. This is thyroid cartilage, and this is the cricoid cartilage, which again will be discussed in detail in the larynx only. Between the hyoid bone and thyroid cartilage, the membrane that you saw, that was a thyrohyoid membrane. That membrane is a thyrohyoid membrane. Right, that's thyrohyoid membrane. And we said there is one muscle of larynx which is present outside. All the muscles of larynx are inside, which we will be discussing all the muscles of larynx separately in the larynx part. One muscle of larynx which is present outside. What muscle is that? That is the cricothyroid muscle. It is between the cricoid and thyroid, so we call it cricothyroid muscle. The only muscle of larynx which is present outside. So we got the plot. We have the plot with us. We have a hyoid bone, we have a thyroid cartilage, there is a thyrohyoid membrane, we have a cricoid cartilage, and there is this muscle which is stretching between them, which is called the cricothyroid muscle. Okay. So from the superior, this inferior ganglion of this vagus nerve, you will see a branch we said of the vagus which will come down, that is a superior laryngeal nerve, and this superior laryngeal nerve is going to divide into the external laryngeal nerve which supplies cricothyroid, and the internal laryngeal nerve, what will it do? Internal laryngeal nerve will pierce the thyrohyoid membrane to go inside. So the nerve here is the superior laryngeal nerve. From now onwards, let's call it SLN, superior laryngeal nerve, which is dividing into two branches. I'm writing it short only. There is external laryngeal nerve, to write it separately somewhere, and this one is the internal laryngeal nerve. The two branches, external laryngeal and internal laryngeal. External and internal. External laryngeal nerve, as you can see, it is supplying the cricothyroid muscle, and internal laryngeal nerve, what internal laryngeal nerve is doing, if I may write it separately here. Internal laryngeal nerve, we said it is going to supply the mucosa of larynx. Mucosa of larynx, but where? Above vocal cord. Above vocal cord. Whereas external laryngeal nerve is just, it's a motor nerve which is to supply the cricothyroid muscle. It supplies the cricothyroid. So that's the function of the two branches of the superior laryngeal, the internal and the external laryngeal. Internal laryngeal nerve is sensory, external laryngeal nerve is motor. One supplies cricothyroid muscle and one is supplying the mucosa. Just take the sensation from the mucosa. In the neck, we said the vagus nerve is also giving off the two branches in the neck, one in the upper part of neck, one in the lower part of neck. There is a superior cervical cardiac branch and there is an inferior cervical cardiac branch. Now I'm not going to discuss these. We already talked about them in the cardiac plexus, guys. Inferior cervical cardiac branch of left vagus was contributing to the superficial cardiac plexus, and then rest all the superficial superior cardiac branch and recurrent branch and all that, they are contributing to deep cardiac plexus. So superior cervical, because they are given off in the neck, so we call it superior cervical cardiac branch, and we have an inferior cervical cardiac branch. And finally, we got a nerve which is called as a recurrent laryngeal nerve. The nerve will go down and then comes back. This nerve is called as a recurrent laryngeal nerve. There is a recurrent laryngeal nerve. This recurrent laryngeal nerve is passing below certain artery, and this artery, it is different from on both the sides. Like this artery is either it is arch of aorta on what side? On the left side, and if it is right side, then this artery will be the right subclavian artery. On the right side, it is a subclavian artery, right subclavian artery. Remember, guys, fourth arch, again embryology, fourth arch artery on the left side is forming the arch of aorta. So recurrent laryngeal nerve is below the fourth arch artery. So what is fourth arch artery? Arch of aorta here. On the right side, fourth arch artery was forming the right subclavian artery. So recurrent laryngeal nerve on this side is below the subclavian artery. And that is why the left recurrent laryngeal nerve is very long and right recurrent laryngeal nerve is short, because it just have to go below the subclavian artery and then goes back. इसको arch of aorta के नीचे से वापस जाना है. So left recurrent laryngeal nerve is longer. But whatever it is, whether it is right recurrent laryngeal nerve or left recurrent laryngeal nerve, once it comes back, the function of the recurrent laryngeal nerve is to supply what? It is going to supply the, first of all, it is going to supply the mucosa of larynx. Mucosa of the larynx where? Below vocal cord. Below vocal cord. And secondly, it is also going to supply all muscles of larynx. All muscles of larynx. Now, as of now, you don't have to remember those names. We will be discussing it in the larynx only. All muscles of larynx except cricothyroid. All muscles of larynx except cricothyroid. That's what the vagus nerve is doing. And उसके बाद obviously vagus nerve will still continue after that and will go into the thorax and abdomen. We will take care of that vagus nerve in that respective part of the abdomen. So this is the relevant discussion on the vagus nerve, guys, that is needed in the head and neck. If I have a quick recap on this, we said vagus nerve, when it comes out of the jugular foramen, which is having two sensory ganglion are there. The superior one, the sensory ganglion, it is only carrying the somatic sensation, general somatic afferent fiber. Inferior is for the visceral. All the visceral sensation coming from the pharyngeal nerve, coming from wherever, the vagus nerve, whatever it is supplying, like sensation from the mucosa of above the vocal cord, below the vocal cord, will be coming from all these nerves from below here. So unki jo cell body hai, that is present here. So the inferior ganglion is basically the visceral ganglion. It is GV and SV type of sensation will come here, and superior ganglion is GSA, it is a general somatic afferent. Superior ganglion, say the branches which will come out, one is a meningeal branch to supply the dura mater of posterior cranial fossa, and it also gives off a auricular branch which supplies the skin of the ear or auricle, and skin around the auricle or inside the auricle. This nerve is called as the Edelman's nerve or Arnold's nerve. From the inferior ganglion, something just like a copy of the glossopharyngeal nerve, it supplies the bifurcation of common carotid artery. It gives off a branch to the pharyngeal plexus. What is pharyngeal plexus? We will talk about that, no worries. It gives off a superior, that's important. तो आपको यहाँ पे main चीज याद रखनी है, that superior laryngeal and recurrent laryngeal. Superior laryngeal nerve comes down close to the larynx and divides into two branches. One is internal laryngeal, which pierces the thyroid membrane, goes inside and supplies the mucosa above the vocal cord. External laryngeal nerve is going to supply the muscle, that is cricothyroid muscle. It is supplying the cricothyroid muscle. Recurrent laryngeal nerve, it is basically coming below certain artery. On the right side, it will come below the subclavian artery, right subclavian, and on the left side, it will come below the ligamentum arteriosum, or you can say below the arch of aorta. It will come back and supply all the muscles of larynx except cricothyroid and mucosa below the vocal cord. Mucosa below the vocal cord. So this is about the longest cranial nerve, only in the head and neck part, that is vagus nerve. Okay, I hope you understood this part, right? After that, once we are finished with this, now I'll show you one picture, a very complicated picture though. But again, we'll try to identify some nerves on this. Everything cannot be identified as of now because we still have to, we have long way to go in head and neck. But still, we will be able to. Look at this. This picture looks like a mess. This looks like there's so many nerves are there in it. But we will try. We will try a few nerves. We'll try to identify a few nerves in this, whatever we can. Let's move on to the next nerve. The next nerve is the accessory nerve, the 11th nerve. 11th nerve is called as accessory nerve. It is having two parts. One part of this accessory is called as the cranial accessory, and one part of this nerve is called as a spinal accessory. The reason for calling them cranial and spinal accessory is because the nucleus of cranial accessory is nucleus ambiguous. If you remember nucleus ambiguous was present in the medulla oblongata. It was a common nucleus for 9th, 10th, and 11th nerve. That was nucleus ambiguous, that is cranial accessory. And the reason the second part of this nerve is called a spinal accessory because the origin of this nerve is actually from the spinal cord. The nucleus for this nerve is present in the spinal cord. It will be coming from the C1 to C5 level of the cervical spinal cord. The origin of this nerve will be from the C1 to C5 level of the cervical spine. So cranial accessory and spinal accessory. Therefore, guys, we are discussing the rest of the cranial nerve for your knowledge so that it will enhance your grip in the head and neck. But from the exam point of view, mandibular nerve, facial nerve, and glossopharyngeal nerve are important. The nerves on which the questions are asked, I mean, write a short note or long note on whether it is trigeminal nerve, whole trigeminal nerve can be asked, especially mandibular nerve is very important, which is asked. Facial nerve, undoubtedly very, very important. Facial nerve, the most important. And even glossopharyngeal nerve also can be asked. Vagus nerve, cranial accessory nerve, they're usually not asked. They're usually, I mean, but usually they are not the questions in the written exam. It's usually from the facial nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, or from the trigeminal nerve. But obviously we have to understand these. If you don't understand these nerves, then you will not be able to have a good grip on the head and neck. Okay, now let us see how exactly this nerve will do this function, guys. Let us say this is a medulla oblongata, and here we have a spinal cord. That's a part of the brain, so that is a medulla oblongata. Lower part of that is medulla oblongata, and that is a spinal cord. Here is the medulla oblongata, and that is spinal cord. Let me differentiate the two. Let's say medulla oblongata is still here. That's medulla oblongata, and this everything here. This is the spinal cord. So we have two origin. We have basically two nerves. Two separate nerves are there. Later on, they will fuse and look like a single nerve, but we have two separate nerves. One is spinal accessory, and one is cranial accessory. First and foremost, the medulla oblongata is leaving the cranial cavity through this huge foramen called as the foramen magnum. There's a big foramen here that is foramen magnum, and there's another foramen here that is jugular foramen that we've been talking about. This is called as the foramen magnum, and this here is the jugular foramen. Foramen magnum and jugular foramen. Okay. Now, cranial accessory nerve, whatever function is done by the cranial accessory nerve, it is not done by the cranial accessory itself. It is done by the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is coming out of jugular foramen, and cranial accessory will join it, and then it will use the cranial accessory. It will use the vagus nerve to reach its destination. What I'm trying to say here is that if I just put the vagus nerve first, let me just put the vagus nerve. We have vagus nerve. There is a superior ganglion of vagus nerve. There is an inferior ganglion of vagus nerve, and there is the rest of the vagus. Just only draw this part of the vagus, nothing much. That's vagus nerve here. We saw the branch of the vagus nerve coming from here. That is superior laryngeal nerve. That is a superior laryngeal nerve. That is a branch of the vagus nerve, right? Okay, let me just leave it from here. There is vagus nerve. That's a branch of vagus nerve. Superior laryngeal nerve. What cranial accessory nerve will do? Now, as we said, the origin of the cranial accessory nerve is from this nucleus in the medulla oblongata. That is the nucleus ambiguous. Let us say in the medulla oblongata that here is a nucleus ambiguous. Now, this starting from the nucleus ambiguous, the cranial accessory nerve will come out individually. It will leave the jugular foramen individually and join the vagus nerve just below the superior ganglion. This here is what now? That is cranial. That is having a cranial origin, so that is cranial accessory. Cranial accessory nerve comes out of the jugular foramen separately, but it joins with the vagus just below the inferior ganglion, and then you will see the fiber of this nerve are carried by the superior laryngeal nerve, and then these fibers they will separate and will contribute to the plexus we have been talking about. What plexus is that? That is a pharyngeal plexus. It is contributing to the plexus called as a pharyngeal plexus. So first thing first, cranial accessory nerve, it left the medulla oblongata coming out of the nucleus ambiguous separately. It leaves the jugular foramen separately. It joins the vagus nerve just below the inferior ganglion. That means after that, you will not be able to see the cranial accessory nerve. When you see the side of the neck or dissection of the neck, you are not able to see the cranial accessory nerve after this point, because it has joined with what nerve? With the vagus nerve only. Which branch of vagus nerve? Superior laryngeal nerve, and then it separates from the superior laryngeal nerve to contribute to pharyngeal plexus. Now, what exactly cranial accessory nerve is doing by going into the pharyngeal plexus? The function of cranial accessory nerve is basically to supply the muscles of palate, and it also supply the muscles of pharynx. Now, you don't have to remember all the names. It is going to supply the muscles of palate and muscles of pharynx, except what? Now, exceptions we have already done. Muscles of palate, except which muscle? There is one muscle of palate we discussed yesterday called as a tensor veli palatini, and it was supplied by the trunk of mandibular nerve. So, all the muscles of palate, whatever muscles we have in the palate, we have a muscle like levator veli palatini, tensor veli palatini, palatoglossus, palatopharynx. We don't have to remember those names for now. But whatever muscles we have in the palate, they are all supplied by the cranial accessory nerve using this pharyngeal plexus. What exactly this plexus is, that also we will discuss later. Except tensor veli palatini. Tensor veli palatini, we already know it is supplied to what now? It is supplied by the mandibular nerve. It was a mandibular nerve supplying it. And muscles of the pharynx, except which one? Guys, except which one? Except one muscle we discussed today, and that was stylopharyngeus. Stylopharyngeus. As we said, stylopharyngeus is the only muscle supplied by what now? Glossopharyngeal. So these two exceptions you have to keep in head. Muscles of the palate except tensor veli palatini, and muscles of the pharynx except stylopharyngeus. They are rest everything else. All other muscles of palate. There's so many muscles in the pharynx: superior constrictor, middle constrictor, inferior constrictor, stylopharyngeus, palatopharyngeus, and salpingopharyngeus. All of them are supplied by this, except what? Except stylopharyngeus and tensor veli palatini. Exceptions rule. Exceptions you have to remember. So that is the job of what now? Cranial accessory nerve. And whatever cranial accessory nerve is doing, it is doing with the help of vagus. So देखने में ऐसा लगता है, visually it looks like the vagus nerve is doing it, but it is not. Cranial accessory nerve is the one which supplies the muscles of palate and pharynx. Vagus nerve supplies the muscles of the larynx only, not the palate and pharynx. That is about what now cranial accessory nerve is. Now what about the spinal accessory? Now we said spinal accessory nerve will originate from the upper 5 cervical spinal segment like C1, C2, C3, C4 and C5. So what you see, that spinal accessory nerve will emerge from C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. All these nerves will join with each other. They go back into the cranial cavity, and they again leaves the cranial cavity through what foramen? Through the jugular foramen. Look at, I'm putting these arrows to tell you that spinal accessory nerve, that's how it is running. It is starting from C1 to C5 cervical spinal segment, and the nerve first it goes into the cranial cavity through what foramen? Foramen magnum, and then it comes out of the jugular foramen. ये लोग usually भूल जाते हैं. Spinal accessory nerve is a content of two foramen. It is a content of foramen magnum also. It is a content of the jugular foramen also. So this here is the spinal accessory nerve. And if you're wondering why the spinal accessory nerve is doing all this drama, first it goes inside and then comes out of the jugular foramen. Actually, this part of the spinal cord, first the development of the spinal cord, it elongates from the neural tube. So this portion of the neural tube was actually present inside first. Later on, with the elongation, it came out. So developmentally, spinal accessory nerve is not going into the cranial cavity. The origin of the spinal accessory nerve actually came out. You getting my point? The portion of that part of the neural tube which is forming this region of the spinal cord, it actually came out of the cranial cavity when the elongation of the spinal cord is taking place developmentally. What spinal accessory nerve is doing? It is supplying the two most important muscles of the neck, the two most superficial muscles of the neck, the two muscles which are covered in the investing layer of deep cervical fascia. And what are those two muscles? That is the sternocleidomastoid and trapezius. That is the function of the spinal accessory nerve. So make sure that you keep these things separate here. This here is the cranial accessory nerve which is supplying the muscles of palate and muscles of pharynx with some exceptions through pharyngeal plexus using the vagus nerve. Whereas spinal accessory nerve which is coming from C3, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 is going to supply the sternocleidomastoid and trapezius. So this is how the spinal accessory nerve will be coming out of the cranial cavity and supplying the sternocleidomastoid and trapezius. So that is simple about that.
अरे यार